Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Get Wrecked here on Play Along Podcast, the show where we grab a guest from the internet and swap video game recommendations. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky, and Little Goody Two Shoes. Very excited. As you guys all know, I love talking about Pokemon, so I'm always down to get on a show and recommend a Pokemon game to someone. And I'm very excited for our guest for today, longtime listener and supporter of the show, streamer, and recent podcaster, Kay, aka MoondustCappuccino. Kay, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I was telling you before, I could not be more excited to be here, so thank you so much.
Of course. I'm a big fan of your content. I'm a big fan of your streams and everything too. So I always love getting new people on the show, and it's fun to like swap video game recommendations because, and we'll get into it. Little Goody Two Shoes is a game that I didn't really know much about, and it is an interesting one. I'm excited to get into it deeper.
Yeah, same with Mystery Dungeon for me, or Explorers of Sky for me. I went in completely blind, so
yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, recently I've been just giving Kay way too many video game recommendations.
It's
a lot of them being not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of them being Pokemon related. So again, you guys know I love talking about Pokemon, so I'm always going to. And it's honestly, it's really exciting seeing you kind of fall into a lot of these Pokemon games just because it's a franchise I've been playing literally my whole life. And from talking to you, you didn't have a ton of experience with it. So it's been cool seeing you just like get really involved in seeing some of these games and really loving some too. Like Pokopia, you were like loving Pokopia.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's never too many, because it gives me a reason to actually invest time into the games when a friend is recommending them versus just being like, oh yeah, there's a million Pokemon games out there, I don't know which ones to touch. But if you recommend them, I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you about them, and then I dive in, so it's fun.
Well, and then learning some of like the games that you like from just watching your streams, I can kind of, funnel you towards ones I think you will like and kind of avoid some of the other ones. Like I think Mystery Dungeon, between its aesthetic and the pixel graphics and some of the story, was like, oh, if you haven't played this one, then I have to recommend this to you because it's such a good time. And like again, it's such a beautiful game too.
Yeah, your recommendations for me are always spot on. So that's why I say just keep them coming, because I'll get around to them eventually.
Don't worry. I'll recommend a game you're just like, what the hell was he talking about? Why did he even give me this game? What is this game? Yeah. So as the listeners know, before we get into the games, especially when we have a guest on the show for the first time, we do a little bit of lore for a guest, get the audience to get to know you a little better. So Kay, I would love to know, right? You play video games, you enjoy games too. Kind of where did all that start? Do you have a video game that kind of lives in your head as one that was like pivotal to you liking games? Like what are some of your favorites that you enjoy?
So first off, right off the bat, I have to mention Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, because yes, that's where it all started. And I've told you before, that's still one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah.
My earliest memories, like in general, I would say, are of me playing Kirby and the Amazing Mirror on the Game Boy Advance. And alongside that, Super Mario Bros. 3 as well, because they ported that from the NES, I think, to the Game Boy Advance. So I had both of those games. And back then, it wasn't like you had every game in the world, Right. So I think that I just switched between those two. And that was pretty pivotal, I would say. Not so much Super Mario Bros, even though I loved it, but Kirby was, because I just enjoyed that game so much and still do. I think it really affected what games I play now. And then when I graduated to the Nintendo DS, I think that had a big impact on me too, because I got into Nintendogs, of course.
Of course. Have to play that. You can't play the DS without Nintendogs.
Exactly. So that's kind of where my love for like simulation games started, like just doing simple, cute things. And Animal Crossing Wild World was on the DS as well. And that was big for me because when I was playing Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, I loved the atmosphere and all the different levels. And I always wished like, oh, I wish that I could just have a version of this where I could walk around and live in here.
Yeah.
And I would load into the game sometimes and just walk around and not even try to find the fragments of the mirror or anything. I would just be like, so
funny.
I just live here. So when I found Animal Crossing Wild World, I was like, oh my God, that's what this is. So that was huge for me. And then I kind of fell off of gaming for a little bit in high school. And then when Animal Crossing New Horizons released. I picked it
Yes,
right
as
back
we all
up.
got sucked into
Yes.
New Horizons, yeah.
Yeah, so I still have a big love for the Animal Crossing franchise, and that really made me dive into playing games in general again. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Was Wild World your first Animal Crossing game?
It was. I had
Mm,
seen the GameCube one
yeah.
at like a Sam's Club or BJ's or
Mhm.
something. I think
Yeah.
they had like a book section, and I saw video games there too. And I had seen, uh, like I said, the GameCube version and picked it up and been like, "What is this? It looks
Mhm.
funky." But I never knew, and I didn't have a GameCube, so I just put it down and left. And
Yeah.
then when I saw it for the DS, I was like, "That's what that was. I need to play this one." So that was my first one, yeah.
That's so funny. I feel like now we need like a Kirby life sim because you go like going in Amazing Mirror and instead of like progressing through the game, just like living in the world and living in the atmosphere. I think it's so funny. I feel like that I did stuff like that all the time when I was a kid. Like instead of playing the game, just sitting and creating my own game almost in the games that
Yeah.
I'm playing. So that's so cool. I can definitely see just like well, and I still haven't finished it too, but I love the Amazing Mirror and have you gone and played other subsequent Kirby games since then? Because Amazing Mirror is very different, like gameplay wise, than some of the traditional Kirby games.
Yeah, so I've actually played the more modern ones,
Yeah.
and I'd like to go back and revisit some of them. I downloaded Kirby's Epic Yarn, so I need to try that one.
Okay.
But, the other Kirby games that I've played have been on the Switch, which I even
Hmm.
feel like are those are different than the
Oh
rest of
yeah,
the franchise, I feel. So,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Another game recommendation: Kirby Planet Robobot on the 3DS
Oh,
is
I've heard good things about that one.
it's probably my favorite Kirby game. I think it's a toss up because I do love a lot of the 3D Kirby games too. But
Mhm.
Planet Robobot's probably my favorite 2D one, and it's Kirby in a cute little mech. Like how what's not to love? Like that one's so good. Like granted, you have to have a 3DS to play it, but it's a good one. It's a good one for sure.
Luckily, I do have a 3DS, so
Oh
I need to order that one or something.
yeah. Hopefully that won't be hundreds of dollars like I when we were looking at Explorers of Sky copies and just like ridiculous crazy pricing for those games.
Yeah, well, I had seen other Pokemon games that were just as old for
Hmm.
sale at GameStop for like $30. So I was like, "Yeah, let me just check," and it said like 150 or something, and I was like, "What's the deal with this? It seems like
Yeah.
people love it."
Yeah, I told you. I was like, "Please don't buy this game.
Yeah,
Please find."
that's when I knew that it was,
Yeah,
gonna be a beloved one.
yeah. I was like, "Please find other ways of playing this because I don't want you dropping, like, hundreds of dollars for this podcast." I was like, "Please
Yeah.
just emulate it or find a friend that has it because that's ridiculous game prices and everything."
Yeah, but now that I did play it, I'm like, I kinda want the physical copy, though.
Oh, yeah, it'll do that to you, and there's lots of games where I'm like, "Do I buy the physical copy just to have the physical copy?" I remember that
Yeah,
happened with, Super Mario Sunshine. I really wanted it so bad, and then I bought it. I bought the physical copy, and then they ported it to Switch, like, the next year too, so I was like,
of course,
if I just
of
waited, I
course.
would've been fine. Yeah.
I do like to have them though, especially like little random games that people
Mhm.
don't mention or really care about. Because 'cause I'm like, "What if I can't emulate it or I can't find? Because some things are actually
Yeah.
really hard to find the ROMs for and stuff still,
Yeah.
so I'm like, "I have to preserve it somehow, find that one copy at GameStop."
Yeah. Well, especially Nintendo stuff, like because there was a big purge where Nintendo was taking a lot of their stuff off of
Yep.
emulation sites. So finding things that are safe and they're not going to give your computer viruses is difficult to do with Nintendo games specifically too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you talked about kind of you had a little break from gaming between like playing things on the Game Boy and the DS and the kind of being reintroduced to games and your love of games with Animal Crossing. Have you since seen yourself interested in going back and kind of the back catalog that you missed, whether it's like nostalgic games on the DS or any older Switch games, maybe some things on the Wii or anything like that that you kind of missed in that era of you weren't playing games?
Yeah, I feel like I actually did skip over that I would play the Wii a lot, but
Mm,
that's because it was more of a family experience. I played it
yeah,
with my brother and sister a lot, so that which was really fun, and I love those memories, but I didn't
hmm,
play any really serious Wii games. It kinda had to be, like, all multiplayer and all kid
right,
friendly because my siblings were a lot younger than me. So, but definitely having the 3DS now, I've been really wanting to go back, try some of those Kirby games that you were mentioning, and just stuff that I didn't really know existed, or things that I remember having but I never finished because I don't know, I feel like when I was a kid, I never actually finished games.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah,
So much.
so I would really like to go back. There's one specific which might kind of seem far off from the other games I mentioned, but there was a Professor Layton game that I was
Oh,
playing on the
okay.
DS. I forget what it's called, but it was one that was, like, on a train, and I need to find it and buy that and try to finish that one for sure.
Oh, that is one that's, like, I've missed in my back catalog. I've never played a Professor Layton game or anything like that. Ace Attorney was another series I've wanted to play too.
Mhm.
I've heard good things about the Ace Attorney games as well. It's funny because I feel like this whole episode when we're talking about you and your history, I'm thinking of more games to recommend you.
I
You
love
brought up
that.
you brought up your 3DS, and Ever Oasis is another game that it's very cute, very chibi art style. It's like an action adventure game, but also a little bit of town management as you manage kind of a desert oasis. You kind of go out and do RPG stuff, collect material, and then kind of come back and manage your little oasis too. It's so
Okay.
fun. That's one of my favorites.
That sounds cute. You saying that just reminded me that there were actually a couple of, RPGs that were on my list somewhere to
Hmm.
get for the 3DS and the Switch that I missed because I never played anything like that. Like I
Hmm.
said, I mostly stuck to the little platformers, the
Yeah.
simulation games. So I didn't even touch an RPG until recently.
Yeah.
And now that I have, I've heard of really cool ones. Like there's one that's called like Rhapsody Musical Adventure, and I think that
Okay,
might
I
be on
gotta
the
see
DS,
this.
but I think you can also get it on the Switch, and I really wanna go back and play that one. I'm finding the older games really, really charming to go back to lately, so
Oh, this looks really cool.
yeah.
Rhapsody Musical Adventure is on the Switch.
Yeah, I think that you have to buy it in a bundle, if I'm
Oh, I
remembering
see.
correctly.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So I have to decide which one I wanna play it on, but I really do like the experience of playing
Mhm.
the DS games on the DS when possible.
Yeah, I had this too because I'm not shy of emulating games. I'll emulate them. That's perfectly fine. But in doing like playing games on modern physical handhelds, right? I didn't finish Mystery Dungeon, but I jumped into Mystery Dungeon for this episode and playing it on my like actual hardware 3DS. It's just like there's something about the tactile feeling of just like having the handheld that just is I can't replicate with like playing a game on Xbox controller or like a mouse and keyboard or something like that too.
Yeah, it's really special, and then something about the Switch too, even though it's a handheld and I
Mhm.
love the Switch, sometimes controversial opinion, but I do love the
Right?
Switch and my experiences with it, but I just think especially for the older games and they're meant to be seen with 2 screens, so sometimes when I
Yeah.
do emulate stuff over, I'm like, "This isn't hitting the same."
Yeah, well, especially and we'll get into it with Mystery Dungeon, but just that layout works so well with the DS, where it's like they'll have cutscenes that play between 2 screens. They'll try to emphasize, like, size and scale by having an area be on both screens, and that's, like even though it is, like, a little gimmicky, it's really fun with games like that that kinda utilize the dual screen setup.
Yeah, I did emulate it, but I could definitely tell, and I see where you're coming from. And
Mhm.
actually, I'm not a gimmick hater. Like, if it's gimmicky,
Yeah.
as long as it's fun, I'm there for it. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here for it to an extent. I mean, I don't really use the 3D feature on my 3DS, but hey,
Mm,
I mean, it's I can use it for a little bit before I get like nauseous from trying to hold that.
yeah.
It was fun for a little bit, so that's
Yeah, I
that's
tried to
that's
use
funny.
it with New Leaf when I first got
Mm,
that, and
mhm.
after a while, I was like, "This just looks like I don't have my contacts in," but I think it's fun that it's there.
3D and astigmatism all built
Yeah.
into one, just
Yeah.
wrapped up in a nice little package. Yeah. Um, well, Kay, you also are a Twitch streamer. You have a Twitch, MoondustCappuccino. I would love to let the audience know a little bit of kind of what you do over on your channel and a little bit of history of how your channel got started too.
Yeah, so I over there I stream mostly cozy games. I've been branching
Hmm.
out a little bit lately. And that's just reflective of me branching out in gaming in general lately.
Yeah.
I've been really brave
Yeah.
recently. um, but I've been streaming since September of last year,
Hmm.
so not that long. But I started because especially with the kind of games I play, I think that
Hmm.
it can be hard to find people day to day, like in real
Sure.
life, that know what you're talking about when you say that you're playing like a dating sim
Yeah. Yes,
or
absolutely.
or a life sim. They don't understand what that means, or when you say that you play video games, they assume you're talking about something different.
Call of Duty, some sports,
Yeah.
Madden, FIFA, things like that.
Yeah, and I'll definitely talk to people about those games if that's what they enjoy, just because I like having
Mhm.
those conversations and seeing what they like about the games that they play, but then when it is your turn to talk about what you're playing, and it's like the blank
They're
stare, you're like, "Alright."
uninterested.
You're like, "Wrap it up."
So,
So,
Hatoful Boyfriend is a dating sim with pigeons and yeah,
like, imagine saying that to your coworker, like, it just
not a
doesn't
chance.
translate, so I watched a ton of streamers,
Yeah.
and I would love being in there, being in chat, talking to them, and I always thought that it was so special that all of
Mm.
those streamers, I would come in and see that they had their own communities of people who always
Yeah.
came in and found them because they were like-minded and were playing some of the same games, and I thought that that was really cool because I think that gamers are very passionate. They like to talk
Yes.
about games.
Yes, they are.
They like to talk about all of the little details
Mhm.
and all the things they like and don't like, and that's hard when nobody knows what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
I definitely wanted that community. So that's what drove me to finally get started on that, and I'm
Mhm.
glad I did because I've made so many friends and had those conversations that I
Yeah.
was craving. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it keeps going as time goes on.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And even from being in your streams early on, you're very natural at streaming. Like this is
Thank you.
something that I have always wanted to do, but never kind of like jumped in to do. And between like people that are solo creators and even streamers, I commend you guys so much because that's a very hard thing for me to do. Like sitting in front of a camera, and even though I talk to myself all the time, I need to just like have that lens of just like doing that on stream while people are watching and everything too. And it's different now because I will have like I kind of have a built-in community if I did try to Twitch stream, but it's really cool seeing people like you that feel at least outwardly, I don't know if you feel this way too, but feel very natural streaming and feel very genuine on camera too, which just kind of creates a good community. People naturally come to your streams and naturally just have fun being in the community, and you create a very welcoming community too. So I always love being part of your streams and whenever you're streaming.
Thank you. I think if
Yeah.
you ever streamed, I would 100% be there. I think that you would be really good at
Oh.
it, but it is
Yeah.
different. And I appreciate you saying that. It does feel natural weirdly
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
even when I'm nervous, I just feel like
Yeah.
once I started wanting to stream, I knew that I wasn't like, "Oh, should I?" Like
Sure.
I was a little bit because, I didn't know if I would know what to do or how to do
Mhm.
it, but I
Right.
knew that the conversations and the community would come naturally because I don't know, I just love fostering those connections with people,
Yeah.
especially over that specific, bond, like, in common,
Yeah.
talking to people about it's really cool, like I was saying, everybody is really passionate about the games they love, which I think
Yes,
is
they are.
the easiest kinda conversation to have,
Yeah.
as long as they're not being, like, that kind of.
Aggressive about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like that's a good way for new people if they want to stream, right? You were kind of already involved in communities and kind of making yourself known to other streamers. That feels like a good way to kind of almost foster your own community, right? Finding those like-minded people, finding people that kind of like games you like, or at least are passionate about video games in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that when you do create a stream or content or whatever, you have friends that you've already naturally created that you can kind of help, kind of push up it and maintain watching and viewership and things like that too, which I think is cool, right? If people are wanting to get into streaming, that's a great way of starting to do it. Just like go in people's streams, be a part of Twitch, be a part of these communities and everything like that.
Yeah, that was a big surprise to me because I
Hmm.
was just a viewer for the sake of being
Yeah.
there and being part of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
conversation. So, I do think that if you are community focused and that's really what you're there for, I think people will be able to read that, and
Yeah,
I think, the focus being community over being a streamer
sure.
definitely goes better, and I think that
Yeah,
it's more enjoyable that way, so
yeah.
it translates well.
Absolutely. Well, in times where, like you said, it's hard to find people to have these conversations with in real life. We have our built-in friends here, where it's like the Twitch stream is like, yes, it's me streaming, and there's like a streamer and watcher like relationship, but it's really just like hanging out with friends, an excuse to like
Yeah.
hang out with the people that you think are cool and everything. And I think that's fun. Like that's a fun way to kind of have community interaction.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's gotten to the point where if I'm busy that day and I have to miss a stream or something, like 2
Yeah.
days later, I'm like, "Ugh, I haven't talked to everyone in a long time." I'm
Yeah.
like, "I miss my friends."
I need to
Yeah.
catch up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so fun. So you started with playing kind of your cozy games, a lot of Nintendo games. You've been dipping into other games as well, right? You played Elden Ring. You were jumping
Oh,
into
yeah.
things like that. Is there anything specifically, whether it's a game or a genre, that you want to stream?
So, I think that I realized with playing I've been getting into the game Rightfully Bearing Arms recently, which is
Yeah.
a bullet
You're like
hell
the front
roguelike.
runner for this game too.
Yes.
I feel like you're the like people need to play this. It's amazing. I saw like the developers were like sharing your stuff and everything too. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
I love them, they're so nice, and, I think that part of that is because the experience I had streaming that
Mhm.
game was super special to me,
Yeah.
and that made me realize that the mindset that I had going into streaming was that
Mhm.
I needed to play easy games on stream or games
Right.
that I knew what I was doing
Yeah.
when I went into them, so that way I could kinda monitor stream without worrying about messing up the game while
Sure.
streaming. And playing Rightfully Berry Arms made me realize I can do hard things on stream, and it's a little bit more fun because
Yeah.
people can see you work through that
Yeah,
versus
the
it
journey.
just being yeah, versus it just being, like, 2 hours of just being like, "Yep, checked everything off my list, no problems, and we had nothing to talk about because nothing
Yeah,
happened."
yeah, yeah.
And it just made me realize that I do wanna push myself a little bit,
Mhm.
even outside of stream, just in, gaming, because I had never
Yeah.
played anything like that before. So, to answer your question, things that I'm looking to stream, I would say, I was not open to this just a couple months ago, but now I think I kinda wanna try more adventure games, more shooters,
Ooh. Oh?
surprisingly. Yeah, I'm I'm trying to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's oh man, there's so many games that I think would be interesting for you to play on just like a narrative perspective, like just experiencing a story, like games like The Last of Us. I don't know if you've ever played like through The
Oh, I
Last of Us
haven't.
too. Yeah, but that's a I mean, it's a very sad, heart-wrenching game, but I feel like a lot of the times video games don't necessarily elicit those feelings. There's very few games that have made me like deeply cry from them that aren't indie games. I feel like indie games are making me cry all the time. Indie games are
Real.
always doing
Yeah.
that. But kind of big AAA games like The Last of Us is like, man, that is such like a guttural a gritty story, and just like it'd be cool to experience if you've never experienced it before too. So it's like that's cool. I'm glad it's cool that you're open to playing lots of different things too, because now that you kind of have your kind of base community, people are going to be there no matter what people are there for the streamer.
Yeah.
They're there for you, and if you're playing any kind of game, they're going to be there.
I think I realized too that games like you're saying The Last of Us, things like that,
Mhm.
they let I said before the whole reason that I started this was for conversation,
Sure.
and if you're going into it and you already know everything to do, that can be a specific type of stream, and that's fun
Sure.
too, but doing hard things on stream does open up more conversation or making those decisions,
Yeah.
with a game like that or an adventure game or even, trying to decide, like, what weapons you're gonna use on
Yeah.
something like Rightfully Bearing Arms, that creates way more discussions and somebody being like, "I wouldn't have done it that way," or "I would have
Mhm.
chosen a completely different weapon." I like that, so definitely
Yeah.
looking to branch out a little bit this year.
Yeah, it's been the Rightfully Bearing Arms journey has been so fun. Just like thinking back to like your original streams where, dying from the first boss to now like
Oh, yeah.
speed running the game almost and getting through in like record breaking time going through.
Yeah.
I know you were on the journey to 100%. Have you 100%ed you got all the achievements yet or?
Ooh, no, because, my lowest runtime right now is 21 minutes, and I gotta get it under 17.
That's crazy.
17! I know.
Even 21 minutes is like insane. Like that is so cool.
Yeah, I'm grateful to streaming, for that reason too,
Yeah.
because Without it, I never would have even tried to branch out into games like
Mhm.
that. And yeah, seeing my growth on my end too, like
Yeah.
you're saying from your end, but for me too, it made me realize I think that I can play more games than I was giving myself credit for. So
Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean, that whole back and forth is like, for me, not the streaming in general, I feel like is gonna be difficult for me. And but multitasking that plus hard game feels like when you're playing Elden Ring, like that's like you were still like managing conversations and like keeping like talking with the community and everything like that. I would just be banging my head against the wall trying to play these difficult games and also be like entertaining for people that are watching too. So it's like that's I mean you I think you do get into like a little bit of flow state, especially with like
Yeah.
rightfully Barry Arms too. But it's impressive to be able to manage a difficult game and talk to a Twitch chat all at the same time.
I try to think of it like, I'm sure you've had this experience, like, when you're
Hmm.
younger and you're trying to show your friend a game you really like and they're watching and you're trying
And
to
you
just
do
beat the
like the worst
level
possible.
or yeah, but then when you finally get it, they're there with you
Yeah.
to be like, "No way!"
Yes.
And it's, like, more fun in a way because they were
Yes.
there to see it happen, and that's how it feels to have, like, Twitch chat running, so
Oh, that's
I'm
so
grateful
fun.
for it.
And that's
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the reasons why I've wanted to get into Twitch, just because I like avenues where, people can absorb content anywhere they want. And, asking someone to sit down in 2 hours of their time for a podcast is hard for some people. And I get that too. So even a Twitch stream opens up a great way of being a very, informal jump in, hang out for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, hang out with friends, experience the content, jump out kind of relationship. And I think that's a very cool way of experiencing the content too. And there's not a lot of stakes there, right? You don't have to stay the whole stream. You don't have to be involved the whole time too. You can just come and go as you please, which I think is fun.
Yeah, yeah, the open door policy. I even like when
Yeah.
people just come in and they're like, "I can't stay at all, but I'm here to say hi and I hope you have fun with
Yeah.
your game." I'm like, "That works for me,
Yeah.
I got to say hey." So,
I feel like that happens to me a lot where I'm just like, I can't be here, but hi everybody. I hope
yeah.
I'm still alive, right? I'm still here and now I'm gonna
Yep.
leave. Now you're yeah. Well, your most recent endeavor is you also started a podcast as well. Do you
Yeah.
want to tell the people at home a little bit about Heart Event Podcast?
Yeah, well, the idea obviously I think it's obvious came from hard events in
Right.
farming sims, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
where you get closer to one of the characters through learning more about them that you wouldn't
Yep.
have known if you didn't have that cutscene. And similar to the streaming situation, I had been listening to gaming podcasts for years at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was really amazing how excuse me, how they give you a way to carve time out of
Mm.
everyone's busy schedule to have a more in-depth conversation. And the streaming like group conversation
Yeah.
is really fun, but you can't get everybody's in-depth thoughts. There's only so much you can write in a
Sure.
Twitch chat comment.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like what is a good way going back to how passionate people are about games. I know the people that are showing up to talk to me on Twitch or message me on Instagram, like they are passionate, they have things to say and I want to hear it, but there's just not time to do that during
Mm-hmm.
during the stream. And so my idea with it, we just started, but my idea with it moving forward is that I'd like to have as many guests as possible on and just
Yeah.
have the space to have those conversations with these people and hear about the games they love and why and what they think about them. So that's my hope for that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I love the going from the Twitch streaming to podcast and that through line of wanting to just have kind of deeper conversations, right? Because I think that they each have their own goals and priorities. And you're right. Like you can only do so much in a Twitch chat. You can only, and if you have multiple people there, you can only have so many conversations. Where having the podcast realm, you can have an individual guest, you can have more of an in-depth conversation on like a specific topic or a specific handful of games and things. So that's so fun. I'm so excited to see where your show goes because I'm hooked.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. I'm excited to see
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping through it,
Mhm.
my objective is to get closer to
Yeah.
the guests I have on through having those conversations, and I'm looking forward to that because I think it's important. So
yeah. Especially when you have kind of these one-on-one conversations like we're having here. It just opens the opportunity to have just I mean, it's like sitting and chatting with a friend. We get to
yeah,
sit down and like you said, you're used to having a full Twitch stream of friends, but just handpick some of those friends every now and then and you sit down and have talks with them individually, which I think is so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you guys haven't already, you definitely should be watching Kay on stream and check out Heart Event Podcast. All of that is going to be linked down below, and we'll have Kay shout out her stuff at the end of the episode as well. But Kay, I say let's jump into our main conversation here. And the first game we're going to start with is the game that I recommended you to play, which is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky.
I'm so excited.
So excited. So, some facts before we jump into our conversation. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky originally released October 12th, 2009 for the Nintendo DS. The synopsis to the story. A human transformed into a Pokemon teams up with a spirited partner at Wigglytuff's guild to recover the lost time gears and prevent the world's paralysis. As they uncover the truth behind their past, the duo must navigate a poignant tale of sacrifice, friendship, and the courage to change fate. So, I mean, we won't get into too much of the narrative right now, but it sets itself up as one thing and it becomes a very different narrative.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Going in blind was the best possible thing I could have done. I'm so glad that I just took it and ran with it. And I thought that it would be a better conversation gameplay wise if I didn't look anything up. So I was like, for this experience, I'll just jump in. Yeah. And then it ended up being, I would say, more important for the narrative.
So end up crying at the end of the story.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah. I was always saying I'm always trying to find like some through line between the two games. Both of our games are very like subverting your expectations, presenting one cute art style and having kind of a very dark undertone with the narrative. So hey, look at that. We found it. We found the through line between them. If you don't know, Explorers of Sky is kind of the sister game to Explorers of Time and Explorers of Darkness. Pokemon is not unfamiliar with doing two games that are, pretty similar aside from a couple differences, and then having a third game that's kind of the definitive version of both of those combined with a couple of new experiences as well. So that's what Explorers of Sky is. It's the third game to Time and Darkness. This was announced after the success of the first two games, selling over 10 million copies, which is the most successful of any of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. Like I said, Explorers of Sky features some additional content, some new Pokemon. Again, you get to play as the Pokemon in this, and we'll get to it too, but you take like a little personality test to determine what Pokemon you end up being. So they open the door for some more options for that starter as well, which is really cool. Interesting enough, this game on release did not get good reviews. It has like a 54 and a 55 on Metacritic and game rankings. People criticizing a lot of it for just it being too similar to the other games. Again, this is just like the third entry in the series. And a lot of people I saw talk about a little bit of burnout with the Mystery Dungeon franchise, with it being similar. But as time has gone on, reception has notably changed to a very more positive view between its initial release, with a lot of people considering this a cult classic, which is what I do, which is why I recommended to you in the first place. This is a game that I played and it's very near and dear to me. This, like I said before, this is currently the best-selling game in the franchise. But yeah, I mean, that the story is why I kind of recommended it to you in the first place. That's kind of why it has a special place in my heart, because I've played some of the other Mystery Dungeon games. There's one on the Game Boy, a couple on DS. I don't think I've played much post this. There's some of the 3DS, and I think they remade the original ones for the Nintendo Switch, which is really cool. But this one stands out because of that story, because it presents a certain way and then it subverts that expectation. I also think that the Mystery Dungeon franchise, it gives more context to what Pokemon is too, because you get to see them as their own like cute individual characters. They're living in this town, they have this guild, and they all have responsibilities. There's some that are shopkeeps, there's some that run the dojo and everything, and it's cool. And it probably gets a little bit of the life simmy vibe to it too, where it's like this is a whole little world that they're living in, and they all get to do their own thing. And that's kind of what drew me to the game in the first place, which is why I recommended it to you.
Yeah, you were a little sneaky about it, I think, because you didn't mention the story at all.
Nope.
I was playing Pokopia. I think that's why you recommended it to me, and you were
Mhm.
like, "Oh, well, if you like seeing the Pokemon interacting, this is a good game."
Yeah.
Failed to mention that I would be sobbing my eyes out due to the
Yeah.
story. So
Yeah.
I'm going in thinking this is going to be so cute. To my knowledge, the Pokemon games are usually just making your way through the gyms. So
Yep.
I was like, the Pokemon are going to talk and I'm going to level up and it's going to be
Mhm.
a cute experience.
Didn't
I thought it
happen?
was going to be pretty surface level.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's why I liked it. And, yes, I intentionally didn't tell you anything about the story because of that reason exactly. And vice
that's so
versa. I didn't know anything about little Goody Two Shoes. And I was like, look at this cute 90s aesthetic, anime, Sailor Moon vibe. And I'm like, what the hell is this game? This is
yeah.
getting dark. This is getting crazy. Um, so the first thing I want to touch on with Mystery Dungeon before anything, I brought up that you do a personality test to get your character. What Pokemon did you end up getting? And how did you feel about this the little personality test in the beginning?
I was really excited to tell you what Pokemon I got because I got Eevee,
Oh my
and I
god,
thought that
hell
was
yeah.
so funny. I thought that
Oh,
was so
that's
cute
perfect.
because the first Pokemon game I ever picked up in general was Let's Go
Let's go,
Eevee,
Eevee.
which was also your recommendation.
It's fate. It's
So I
fate.
was like, this could not be any more perfect.
Yeah.
And I really liked the personality quiz. I thought that that was a cute way to do it. And it also kind of reminded me of the old Animal Crossing games where you answer a
Mhm.
couple questions and you don't know how they're going to shake out until
Yep.
you see your character. But I was super excited that I got Eevee. I was perfectly okay with that.
Wow. That was perfect. The Let's Go Eevee
Yeah.
connections to being Eevee in the main game. That's so funny. Who did you pick as your partner?
I picked Shanks.
Oh,
I have him right here because of that,
that's
because I'm
that's
so
that's so
attached to
cute.
him now. So I basically picked him off cuteness
Mhm.
since I didn't know anything about any of the Pokemon. I didn't
Yeah.
have any knowledge to go off of, and I actually think that worked in the story's favor because
Yeah.
just picking Shanks, thinking that he was so cute and he reminded me
Yeah.
of like Eevee and Shanks together reminded me of like both my little cats going on an adventure or
Oh my
something.
god, that's so cute. I love that.
Every time they looked sad or something during the story, I was like, "Don't break my heart like this." It made me like a lot more
Yeah.
invested. So,
Yeah. Well, it's cool that you picked a Pokemon that you liked because I feel like this game, notoriously with people that I've seen play it and everything, that partner Pokemon ends up becoming someone's favorite. Just
yeah.
because of the events that take place, and we'll get to story stuff too. But you start getting an attachment to this character, and you can kind of see our partner specific growth throughout the entire game. And you get attached to that character too. You do get really attached. And I think that people get attached to that Pokemon as well. For this one, I did my personality test and I got Piplup, the little penguin
Oh,
Pokemon.
cute.
I got Piplup, and I picked Bulbasaur for my partner Pokemon, which
Okay.
was fun.
That's a good
Um,
pair.
yeah, yeah, Piplup. I love the idea of Eevee and Shinx just being like your two cats going on an adventure. It reminds me of what was that movie? Homeward Bound. That was like all the
Yeah.
animals that like are going on an adventure together. That's so
Yep.
funny. Yeah. Um, the other thing too, just kind of going off of first impressions and how you're feeling is for me, the visuals of this game are gorgeous. It is, I mean, I like pixel art in games, but between the very like vibrant color palette they use and like the very first scene where it's like sunset and like little crabby bubbles is just how did you feel about the kind of visual style of the game?
I loved it. Pixel art is my favorite. I much
Yeah.
prefer it over 3D. And the DS pixel graphics specifically were so cute. And I think that I ended with something like 329 screenshots.
Oh no, that's so
And
funny.
that's just the main story. So
Oh
I
wow.
absolutely loved it. And I was really excited that it looked so gorgeous and all the different
Mhm.
areas looked gorgeous too. I was like,
Oh
this is
yeah.
bringing me right back to what I was saying about Kirby. I was like, I want to jump into this world.
Yeah. When
Even
it's
with all the weird stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, like, especially like this game, I feel like is just perfect for that idea of just like living in a little world. All right. I think Pokopia is our closest thing that we're getting to kind of a Pokemon life sim where we have all these Pokemon and they have all the little habitats and everything. But in this one, you can live your little Pokemon world. You could just stay as a
Yeah.
Pokemon and you can, live in this town and everything. And even though our main character is very stressed and confused that he's a Pokemon, I would just take it. I'd be like, that's fine. I'm an Eevee now. I'm gonna walk around this town and I'm gonna although the world's a little falling apart at
Yeah.
the moment. So
stuff's happening, but you have your partner by your side, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How did you feel about like the personality of partner Pokemon? Did you give can you name the partner? I don't remember if you can name them.
I don't know if you can name them, but I didn't name any of them. Like,
Okay.
regardless of if you could name the partner or just the other ones
The
that
other
joined
ones
your
that you get.
team,
Yeah.
I didn't name any of them because
Mhm.
I wanted to remember who they were so that it would kind of
Right.
like translate into next time I play a Pokemon game. I'll
Yeah.
remember.
Like the
Yeah.
actual Pokemon's name and everything.
Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, how did you some first impressions on like your partner itself?
So cute. The whole, like, being pure of heart and just being like, "I just wanna be an explorer, I wanna do good
Yeah.
things, I wanna see things." Like, I was already, like, tearing up just hearing, like,
Just the beginning.
that little tidbit of information. I was like, "That is so cute and
Yeah.
pure," and I love that.
Yeah, and then it's so sad in the beginning. Like he has his like favorite little stone that he holds dear, and the Zubat and the coughing come around and steal it from him, and it's so sad.
And he's, like, calling it
I forgot
his,
what he
like,
called it too.
personal, like, treasure
Treasure,
or
personal treasure.
it's
Yeah.
just so, so sweet. It
Oh,
was sad when they stole it, though. Twice,
yeah.
mind you.
Yeah, what the heck? There's mean Pokemon in this too. On top of there being cute Pokemon, there is mean Pokemon, which is just it goes into kind of how all these characters have such diverse personalities. Although some of them might fall into a little bit of tropey personalities, I think. Again, bad guys being bad, Grovyle is very edgy, like things like that. I still think it the personalities fit well, and I think it does a good job of making all these characters because there's not a ton of cast that are at least like the main cast in this, but it does make everybody feel unique in their personalities too. I don't know if you felt similarly.
I definitely did, and they took it a step further with the special episodes,
Hmm.
too. So I've only played through, like, half of the Bidoof one,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to go back and, like, keep finding out more about
Hmm.
their personalities, and I do feel like they made them, like, pretty well-rounded and believable.
Yeah.
Even when they were tropey, I feel like they were still
Yeah, for sure.
interesting.
Yeah.
So,
It is fun, and it sounds like you're still playing more of this afterward, but I think there's if you get deep enough into post game, actually I'm not sure how this works with Eevee, but your Pokemon does eventually get to evolve as you get some post game
oh,
stuff. Again, Eevee's interesting because Eevee can evolve into different things. So I don't know how that works with
oh,
Eevee,
okay.
but you can evolve eventually, which I know that was a gripe of people, people again like leveling up their Pokemon, evolving, but actually kind of like that it just stays you and your character for the beginning because again it gives them just like this is the person, this is their personality, this is what they look like, this is who they are, and this is the journey that they're going through. And I think you might lose a little bit of that when you try to level up and evolve the Pokemon too. It kind of takes away from that.
I think especially with this being the first Pokemon game that I played front to back, like
Hmm.
I didn't want to have that to think
Yeah.
about. I'm glad that it was just like, okay, it seems like that's not happening, so I'm
Yeah.
just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And it's cool to know that now that I've like settled into the game a little bit, like if I keep
Hmm.
going post game, I'll be able to see where that goes. But yeah, definitely agree that for the time being, I personally was more than okay with no evolutions happening.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of like a good thing too, where there's a lot of Pokemon. There's a lot of Pokemon out right now. There's a lot of different typings and moves and all of this stuff. And they kind of strip that away and almost take it out entirely in this game, where you don't necessarily have to have this vast knowledge of Pokemon typings and moves, even when it comes to kind of like the dungeon crawling gameplay, in order for this game to be fun. I still
Yeah.
think going in this, just like you as a new Pokemon fan, you can enjoy it without having played Pokemon for 30 plus years at this point.
Yeah, and I do agree with you that where I don't know enough about Pokemon to know all the
Hmm.
different types, but I've seen Eevee before, but not Eevee's evolution. So if they did do that,
Ooh.
I'd be like, where did Eevee go? Like that's who I got attached to. I don't know
Yeah.
who this is.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I think that was a good choice. At
Yeah.
least for my experience.
And Eevee has 6 different evolutions,
That feels
which
like a
is
lot.
yeah, it is a lot. But they are all very cute. There's one specifically, Sylveon, that you probably will love. Sylveon's a fairy type.
Mm.
Sylveon is evolves from Eevee. Yep, yep.
I have seen that, but I don't think I knew that that was how we got there.
Yeah,
So
Eevee to Sylveon. Eevee has a lot. That's why I'm curious of how the evolution works in this game with Eevee, because Eevee can turn into multiple different things, which is kind of cool, which I like.
I'll let you know because I'm not ready
Mm.
for my experience playing it to be over. So
Yeah.
when I realized that you could
Yeah.
keep going, I was like, yes.
Yes.
So I'll definitely tell
Yeah.
you.
It's gonna be interesting. I haven't played a lot of the 3DS ones to recommend them. I kind of like started you off at the top at the height of the mystery dungeon. I think they changed some gameplay stuff, but like narrative wise, this is probably the best that it does get. But I still think the other mystery dungeon games are fun. Like if you go back to the Game Boy one, Red Rescue Team, it has a similar story. It's more just, bad guy doing bad thing, stop bad guy, you are the good guy. Like that's kind of the trope of a lot of the mystery dungeon games, where this one gets into a little bit of the nuance of what that means to be good and evil and everything. So maybe maybe you might be disappointed jumping into some of the other mystery dungeon games.
Maybe not though, because I
Yeah.
do, I do try to just take things at like face value when I'm
Yeah.
playing them. So maybe not if I didn't do too
That's
much
true.
comparing. Yeah.
I feel like we were related in a lot of that, where it's just like games don't really make me like upset very much. Like it'll take a lot for a game to like make me angry, but I'm just here. I'm here for the vibes, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I've definitely wondered before, like, am I just super easy to please when it
Yeah.
comes to games? Because
Yes, I'm the same
I
way.
either like a game or I just assume like that genre's not
Yeah,
my type or
and just avoid
something.
it.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
circle back to it later when I'm like open to it. If I do
Right.
have some sort of bad experience playing a game, I'm like, oh, it just wasn't for me right now.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So the whole story setup for Mystery Dungeon is, again, you turn into a Pokemon, you randomly show up on a beach, and you are a Pokemon now, and you're confused because you thought you were a human before. And the whole mystery of this Mystery Dungeon is to solve why you are a Pokemon now. We talked about like starting a guild and going on an adventure. Our partner Pokemon, his whole thing he wants to do is he wants to have a grand adventure, and he wants to join a guild, a Wigglytuff's guild specifically. And you end up forming a little adventure team with your partner and everything. And you do join Wigglytuff's guild. And kind of, again, the beginnings of this is very much, you know, helping people with little tasks, going and exploring dungeons. Kind of, how did you feel about some of the early gameplay mechanics, where it's just like going to a dungeon and then doing a little bit of story stuff here and there?
I really liked it. I liked that it kind of broke it up for me
Mm-hmm.
because not I think that the combat in Let's Go Eevee is different enough that I don't feel that it prepared me
Yeah,
for the dungeons in
for
this game.
this, yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
So but I do think that it did a good job of making it difficult enough, at least for a new player like me,
Yeah.
where I couldn't just make my way through the dungeon easily, but also I never got to a point where I was like, I don't even
Mm-hmm.
want to be doing this anymore." Like,
Right.
it was still rewarding, and, I liked that balance, and then I liked that, you would kinda more in the beginning, later
Mm-hmm.
on when you would, like, fail in a dungeon, you would just have to go right back in, but
Yep.
in the beginning, you would fail and then you'd eat dinner, go to sleep, wake up,
Yep.
and then you might have like, get redirected to a different task, and I liked the balance. I feel like it helped
Mm-hmm.
me, like, regroup. So
That's good, because I feel like a lot of people had problems with this, where they thought gameplay mechanic could be a little repetitive, where they had problems with just doing dungeon, eating dinner, doing the eating dinner meal. And I think what's cool about this game is you can kind of create your own path, really. Like the day ends after you go to sleep. So when
yeah.
you're going to sleep, that's kind of when your day ends and how you progress. So you can do really as much as you want in that day. So you can kind of control, do you want to do multiple dungeons? Are you going to take on multiple tasks from like the cork board of tasks and everything? Do you want to do training in the dojo? You can kind of make your own path when it comes to this.
Yeah, and I liked that they gave you the option to take a bunch of jobs from the bulletin board,
Mm-hmm.
and I could kind of assess after you got one done, it would ask if you wanted to go home or keep going,
Yes,
and I
that was
could kind of
nice.
be like, "What do I have in my pockets? How close am I to dying right now?
Yeah.
Like, should I keep
Yeah.
going or should I just call it?" And I really liked
Yeah.
that they gave you that flexibility. I didn't find it repetitive, but
Okay, that's good.
I think that I was, like, trying to figure everything out and so new
Mm.
to it that there was no way for it to get repetitive because I was just trying to figure out what was going
There's
on.
always, well, especially too, and we'll get into some gameplay and stuff here in a second, but there's a lot of items. There's a lot of managing to do. Not only are you exploring a dungeon, but you're fighting Pokemon. You're juggling hunger, which you have to also worry about too. So there's a lot of things for you to manage, which, like, in retrospect, now that I'm thinking about it, if this is your first time, like, that's a lot to kind of take in. So it's probably never got boring because there was always probably new information that you were getting hit at every turn.
Definitely. Yeah. And I feel like it didn't, I'm used to a little bit more like modern games or like
Sure.
Let's Go Eevee, where I feel like they do a little bit more hand holding.
Yeah, this game does not tell
So,
you anything.
nope. So I was horrible at the dungeons at first. Like, I didn't even
Yeah.
know that in this game versus Let's Go, where you get into a battle with a Pokemon and your list of moves shows right up.
Yep.
And I didn't know where to find that list of
Oh
moves at
no.
first. So I was
Yeah.
just like doing the little
The
one
little, like,
jump.
one tap, yeah.
And I was like, how am I supposed to do this? So for the first couple times I went into the dungeon, I was just doing that to
Not
level
using
up.
any of the
Or I
moves.
guess
Wow, that's a
yeah,
grind.
I wasn't leveling up. So that's when I
Yeah.
started to be like what is happening like incorrectly here? And I was looking through the menus to try to see if I was close to leveling up, and that's where I found the moves that I was supposed to be using to actually get there. And I was like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is also still an era where they didn't do a ton of hand-holding in games, and this one specifically too. Like, I feel like I remember as a kid when I played through this a lot, dying and not understanding the hunger mechanic of having to
Mhm.
eat and stay fed throughout the entire time, and dying in dungeons because of that. So I can definitely see that. There's a lot of mechanics to kind of juggle while you're down here too.
Yeah, and there were just some things that I had to catch on to myself. I
Yeah.
do think that I like enjoyed that experience though, but like you said, the hunger,
Hmm.
I didn't think to be going to the shop to
Yeah.
be seeing if they had apples. So I'd get down there and it'd be like, "You're hungry," and I'd be like, "What do you want me to do about that? Like, you're not spawning in an
Yeah.
apple. Like, that's just not my problem right now."
Yeah.
But I got there eventually with that one too.
Yeah. No, it's a lot, and even like the inventory management too. Because I correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember. But if you die in a dungeon, you lose your stuff unless you store it. Yes. Okay.
Half of it,
Half
or
of your stuff.
you can lose, like, up to half, I think,
I think that's
something
what it
like
was.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a whole like storage mechanic with your inventory too. If you want to not lose items, you should store them. So there's a lot to there's a lot to handle.
Painful toward the end where you don't get to go back to
Mm,
the
mm-hmm.
shop in between
Mm-hmm.
like you can at the beginning, because if you don't think very carefully about what you should and should not have in your pockets, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's over.
Did any of this ever become kind of overwhelming when you were doing the dungeons? Or again, was it just you had so much new stimulus that you were just kind of operating on getting new information every time?
Up until a certain point,
Hmm.
it wasn't so bad. I wouldn't say frustrating, but just
Yeah.
so I guess here's where I tell you that I didn't know what linking moves meant
Oh
until
no.
chapter 19.
Oh damn.
And I was like, I'm gonna tell him that, and he's gonna be like, "How did you make it to chapter 19 without
That's
linking your moves?" Yeah.
honestly more impressive. That's impressive. Hell yeah.
And I had looked up how long it was supposed to take, and it said it was like a 20-hour game, and I was like, "How am I on hour 40?" But it's because without linking my moves, I just had to keep going through the dungeons to level up a crazy amount
Oh my gosh,
so that I could.
how did you not get jaded and to hate me by the end of this experience?
I just thought, like, I was along for the ride, and I was like, "I guess this is
Yeah.
what old Pokemon games were like," which is exactly what I'm saying. Like, I'm really difficult to,
Oh
like,
man.
get angry during a game. I'm like, "I guess this is just how they
Sure.
designed it, so let's go." So,
Dang. Well, I'm glad it seems like you came out of it enjoying the experience because honestly,
yeah.
that's what people like. Again, that didn't like is that whole like grind of the dungeon of having to go in and grind because we don't get. We've talked about like this narrative that's subverting expectations. You don't get that until a good ways down the line. Like little
Yeah.
things will happen here and there, but the bulk of like the really interesting stuff doesn't not happen until chapters and chapters down the line.
Yeah, it was, like, getting to a point where it had been so long that I was like, "How are they
Yeah.
possibly gonna wrap this up?" And then it was like, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
But I this is also where I tell you that I was scared I wasn't gonna be able to finish this game for multiple reasons. The dungeon not
Yeah.
going well for me because of not knowing that I
Yep.
could link my moves,
Link
which
moves. Yep.
definitely would have been helpful. But also, when I got to, like, chapter 12 or something,
Mhm.
I did something and, like, reset my whole save.
Oh, so you
And
played
I
this
was
just
like,
twice
"Oh, no."
essentially?
No, so
Okay, okay,
luckily,
okay.
I started to, but, like, 3 chapters in, I was like, "I really wanted to finish this for this episode,"
Yeah.
and they're like, I cannot accept defeat right now, but if I so at this point, I'm still thinking you can't link moves, I'm gonna have to grind the dungeons. So I
Yeah.
was like, that's gonna take way too long and I'm not gonna be able to finish. So let me just look through every single folder that came with this emulator and see if there's
Find
something
the
I can do.
save?
And I found it, and
Damn.
after that, I hadn't been saving manually at all. I was
Yeah.
just letting the emulator save it. So after that, every single chapter I started saving, which was good
Damn.
because when I got to like those last 2 chapters and I was like, I don't understand at all how I'm supposed to beat this boss. And I was
Mhm.
looking through my notes and I was like something about linking moves and then I was like, I think that it's too late for that because there's no way for me to go back to
Yeah.
the town. So I just said forget it and I went backwards and I went back. I opened my save from chapter 17 and ran through some of the like starting game dungeons and just collected because then I was
Well,
powered
you're
up
higher
enough.
I was like, you're higher
Yeah.
level at that point, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, so then I could definitely make it to the end of those dungeons. So I would just go across the entire map, find every piece of money, every item, and then I went back and linked my moves and got like berries and stuff I needed, and then went back to the end of the game. And then I was like, okay,
Damn.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Now I wish I put more effort into finishing this game because of all the hoops that you jump
Oh
through.
my god, no, no. I was
Yeah.
determined because I just also knew that with my personality, if I didn't get to the actual end of the game, I might fall off of it after the episode, and I didn't want to. I
Interesting.
really wanted to just like
Yeah.
put a
No,
bow on that.
I feel that 'cause that happens a lot. I mean, there's oftentimes for the show too, where we ask the guests like if they haven't finished it, do they plan to, right? Did the game do enough to interest them and continue playing? And a lot of time where that's still true, like life just gets in the way, right? You're a
Yeah.
content creator as well. You stream on Twitch. You have the podcast now. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna finish this game, and then I get dumped on by all the podcast content that I have to do, and I never get to it as
Yeah.
well. So I appreciate that you put. It sounds like you put the work in to really
Oh,
get through
definitely.
this.
And I was just so excited to
Yeah.
have this conversation with you. I was like, I'm personally gonna be upset if I don't get to talk about the
Yep.
whole
The whole experience and
game,
everything.
so and it worked out because seeing the ending actually
Yeah.
did solidify that I would go back and do the end game content. I'm pretty confident in
Hmm.
saying that, so yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's fortunate and unfortunate, but the credits scene and towards the end is kind of what it wraps the experience. It puts a bow on everything. And I know that's what's supposed to happen, right? But it's like that is kind of what solidifies like this was a great time. Like this was such a cool experience. And like you said, kind of convinces you to be like, I'm not done with this world yet. I'm not done with my partner. I don't want this to be done and over with yet. I want to keep going in it. So that is awesome. Again, I'm glad that you weren't like extremely jaded and tired of I'm never playing Mystery Dungeon. Jared's never recommending me a game ever again.
No, I would say more determined, where I was like,
That's good.
"Something's happening here, and
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
playing this with an end goal, I need to figure it out." So, I'm
yeah.
glad that I had that, like, objective of getting here and having this conversation with you. I think it
That's
helped me
so
stay more
funny.
patient. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love that.
Yeah.
So another mechanic to add into all the gameplay was every now and then you'll be able to recruit partner Pokemon that aren't your other partner. How did you like that of being able to kind of like? Did you ever see a Pokemon that you're like, oh, that's really cool, and then be able to recruit it on your team and have that kind of like relationship with it?
So, I don't know if there was, like, a separate way to do this, but I basically just would fight them and then they'd ask, and anytime they asked, I was like, "Yep, go
Yep.
ahead,"
I
and
think
I'd
that's the
do
only way to do it. That's the only way I know how to
okay,
do it,
okay,
but
good, so I didn't miss anything there,
I don't believe so.
and I was relieved because, not really knowing how to use the moves, I would
Yeah.
just let Pokemon come onto my team, and I would step back a tile, and I would
Just
let
let
them
them take the
fight.
brunt of the force and
Yeah,
getting the
I was
damage and
like
everything.
you're carrying the team, you do
Yeah.
this because I don't know what's happening with my battling right now. And I actually was a lot more grateful for it and started utilizing it more once the like underground bar thing shows up
Yep, yep, yep.
because I somehow also missed the part where you could like use the bell to call everybody, and I didn't talk to any
Yeah.
of the Pokemon that were standing out there for some reason. So once they open up that, I think it's a bar, I don't really know, but
Mhm.
once they do that, they make a big deal of being like, "Oh, well, they'll be underground, so if you want them, you have to come ring the bell." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, got it."
Yeah.
And then I do think that that made it a lot easier from then on. And yeah, I don't know that it really helped me appreciate those specific Pokemon though, since it was
Sure.
so random.
Yeah. It
And
is
I
very
would just
random.
yeah, I would just have to remember not knowing anything about Pokemon types or what would be best to bring into the dungeon.
Mhm.
I would just try to have to scrub my memory and be like, which ones were kinda kicking my ass when
Yep.
I was in there, and I was like, "Well, that feels like that means they have some good moves, so I'm gonna bring them
That feels
along
right.
with
Yeah.
me." Yeah.
Yeah. I love the mentality of being like, "I'm gonna sit in the back, guys. Let me know if you need me. You go ahead and do your thing too." Which I don't know if it happens with the partner Pokemon they recruit outside of your main partner. Because if your main partner dies, you still die. It still counts as a death, and you still have to go
Mhm.
back to a saved floor or restart the dungeon. I don't know if that happens with the recruitable Pokemon.
It does not. They
Okay,
can
that's what I
just
thought. They just like,
poof, go away, and you and your partner Pokemon are still going strong. So sometimes
okay.
I would even just leave them and just keep moving a tile down every time they got back to me and it was my move, because I'd be like, if I can just scoot down this hallway and see the staircase, like by the time I get over
Mm,
there, you guys will have defeated him. You can follow me. So
yeah.
yeah,
And what an amazing feeling when you go from one floor to another and the staircase is just in the room that you start with, because
absolutely love that.
they're, I don't know if you had clocks or hearts, but they're the dungeon, the rooms are random, the floors are, it's procedurally generated,
Mhm.
so they're different every single time. So getting up a staircase and seeing that staircase in the room you're on, oh, it's such a glorious feeling.
Even better is when you would spawn in on top of the
On
next
top
one,
of
so
the
I would literally just have to move one tile up and then come
moved
back,
up.
so it would give me the option to go down
Yeah.
the staircase. I was like, "Beautiful. Love
Did
this."
did you ever have some, because I know some of the later ones get long with their floors. Did you ever have some like, when is this gonna end? Like, when is this gonna stop? Because some of those dungeons are long.
I'd be like, "Surely it's in this next room,"
The
and then
next
it would just
one, of
keep
course, it
going.
has to be.
I'd be like, "The screen is only so big, like, the map cannot possibly keep going," and then it would, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Alright, got it," and then I would get that's when I'd be like, "Are you kidding me?" Because then it'd be like, "You're hungry," and I'd be like, "Yeah, because I just ran a mile."
I just
Like,
exactly.
of
There was
course.
there was nothing more satisfying than, like, going up a floor and, like, a cutscene happening, and you're like, "Oh, fine, I did it. I'm done, at least for a little bit, or I'm halfway done," and it's so good.
I would, like, audibly be like, "Oh, finally," like,
Yeah.
because they have, like, the levels and then
Yeah.
the parts where you got to cutscenes would have their own name, so as soon as I would see the name change, I'd be like, "Oh, I did it."
Yep, I did it. I'm here. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a lot. The dungeon. This was my first, because this is like a genre of game outside of Pokemon, right? This was a Pokemon had just done their version of this kind of dungeon crawling, but there is like a version of this that has been done with like Final Fantasy characters and other things too. Uh, and I really like it. I think it, it allows you to get in the weeds if you want to, and I think it's just challenging enough and accessible for people like you that are new to this, that can still enjoy it without having to get into the weeds. And I think once you've gone through the whole experience and you have essentially all the information, you kind of can like meta the game and, be prepared for dungeon crawling and have moves that you need and everything like that too once you're at towards the end.
Yeah, I just remembered while you were saying all this too that I had a question.
Yeah.
In the dungeons, as you're walking around, like trying to find the staircase, your HP is going back up. Is that like normal for Pokemon games? I hadn't seen that. And then in Let's Go, I know that I have to bring them to the Pokemon Center.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe this is happening because there is no Pokemon Center. Like, that's not how this one works.
Yeah, that is just like a mystery dungeon thing, because normally if you're damaged at all in a Pokemon game, it would be using an item like potions or anything like that to heal, or healing at a Pokemon Center.
Okay.
So that it's very specific to Mystery Dungeon that you're kind of gaining HP as you progress throughout the dungeon.
Okay, because if I didn't have any of the, like, berries or anything
Yeah.
that I needed, I would just walk in, like, a square until I had enough HP to, like, go see what
Yeah.
was in the next room, so
No wonder your Pokemon retired. They've been running, they said running laps around these dungeons to get health back and looking for
Yep.
staircases and everything.
The little thing would pop up, "You're hungry?" I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Again," like, same old story,
Sure.
like, I get it.
Same. Just like me for real. Just
Yeah.
hungry all the time.
Yep.
Did you ever run into a monster room?
Many times, yes.
Those
Yeah.
were very stressful. I remember.
With no linked moves.
God, yeah. Yeah.
That
Again,
was crazy.
impressive. You killed it. You killed it going through all of this without doing any linked moves or anything like that.
I just thought that you were supposed to have a completely different type of strategy
Yeah.
versus, like, planning ahead. I thought that when you were in it, you were just gonna have to, like,
Yeah.
hit and then move a tile, and I was like, "Wow, this takes a lot of, like, thinking in the moment," but now I see that that's not the point, but
Oh man. Again, I probably would have been like, I'm done. I'm okay. I don't want to do this anymore.
no, Shinx was carrying me, so it was okay.
Yeah. So there are like a handful of boss fights throughout the dungeons. How did you feel about those? Because it is a little different in the sense that you're not in a tight corridor. You're in a larger, for the most part, open area. But it's still that kind of like back and forth between like you use a move, you use a turn to move a space or do a move and everything like that. How did you feel about some of those?
I liked them because I felt like I could kind of retreat, and there were some of those items that
Hmm.
you could throw,
Yes,
and I
yes.
felt
Throwables
like
are
I could, like
so perfect.
yeah, I could almost, like, kind of stall and try to figure out, like, "Is this gonna work out right now or am I gonna die?" Like, take a minute to look
Hmm.
through my items and then be like, "Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do next, so let me throw these," and then move over here and try to let Shanks hit it a couple times, and then I'll throw more stuff and get closer and do flail. That was my favorite move
Oh
the
yeah,
whole time.
flail.
Yeah,
So
because my
good.
HP was always so low that I was like it ended up
Oh wow, so you're killing
helping
it.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that it said that it does more damage, like, the lower
The lower
your
your health is,
HP.
yeah.
Yeah, so it did a lot of
Hey,
damage.
hey, if you're already taking damage, what a better move than to use flail.
Yeah, so I actually liked the boss fights because I didn't especially since they're turn-based, I felt like I had time to think about what I was doing.
Yeah. Some of these got hard. Some of these end ones, like when you're fighting Kaputop's gang, Dust Noir at the very end, when
Uh,
you're fighting Dialga, like some of these are they are difficult.
yeah, Dusk Noir was where I was like, "Something is not
Something's wrong
right,"
here.
because that one was so difficult. I was like, "There actually can't possibly be a way that they expect you to beat this the way that I'm playing." So, I
Yeah.
was like, There has to be something I'm missing." That's when I ended up going back and looking through my notes because I was like, Yeah, this just doesn't make sense. It's too difficult."
I felt that way with a couple little goody two shoes puzzles where I'm like,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to solve this? I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Um, so I'm gonna go into some of the story and some of the spoilers for the ending and everything like that to get
Okay.
your opinions on it. So, like I said, for the most part, the story sets itself up as you're trying to do little tasks here and there. The big kind of moment is you find out that the sections of the world are going into something called the world's paralysis, where there's certain time gears there that are meant to kind of keep the balance of time, and those are going missing. You learn eventually that there's a Pokemon named Grovyle, and Grovyle is the one stealing all the time gears. And Dust Noir is kind of hired on as the, an expert explorer, an expert. He's known around the world. Everybody kind of knows about him. And he's also tasked with trying to stop Grovyle from taking the time gears. What did you think about kind of this narrative setup of just like taking the time gears, the whole time paralysis, and everything like that too?
I was trying to guess the twist
Oh,
because
okay.
they set it up so perfectly where I was like, though this obviously isn't the whole story, like, there's
Sure.
no way
Yeah.
that it's
There
just
has
gonna
to be
be
more than
like
just this.
yeah, I was like, there's no way you can just go down the list and, like, check all of these things off the way they laid them out, but everything I guessed was, like, completely wrong, but,
Hmm.
I did like it because since I feel like they set it up so that you could tell something was coming, but they did a really good job of not really hinting toward what it was. So
Hmm.
since I was constantly guessing what was going to happen. I feel like I was really engaged and really trying to make it through those dungeons to advance the story so that I could be like, was I right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, my favorite part is theory crafting on I'm like just like you trying to find out what the twist is going to be. And I honestly I don't know for other people if it is obvious here. I did not see the twist coming. I did not see it. Like you said, it's always presented as like you don't have all the information. Grovile stealing the time gears, Dust Noir is here, but you don't know the extent of why those things are important and everything. Yet again, Grovile is set up as the villain stealing the time gears and hurting the planet. But the big twist to all of that, spoilers if you haven't played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon at this point, but Grovile is actually trying to help. Grovile and Dust Noir are both from the future, and Grovile is trying to stop this dark future from happening. And Dust Noir is here trying to facilitate it. He's trying to keep this dark, decrepit, broken future happening. Primal Dialga is kind of the precipice for all of that, and Dust Noir is working with Primal Dialga from the future in order to guarantee the future stays this way. So I kind of liked this back and forth and finding out that Grovile is actually trying to help and then trying to working with him, and the whole town is still thinks he's evil and trying to help him and everything like that. I loved that.
Yeah, I did too. And all the characters you just mentioned, like when we started getting into all of that, I was like, oh, this involves a lot more people than I thought it was going to.
Absolutely.
And I actually thought, like, in the beginning, there's a cutscene where you see Wigglytuff. Like, well, you don't see, but it's like the shadow. And I was like, okay, he's evil. Like, that's it. He's the evil guy.
Yep.
But you end up finding out later, like, that's not the case. And yeah, I think they did a really good job, like, stringing you along. And then I liked it. I liked finding out that Grovile was not evil, because
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of didn't want him to be, and just the way they were doing those like evil snapshots of him like looking sneaky.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Something's off here.
Yeah. He does have the like very edgy character anime trope though. Like he's very much that like edgy character in anime. So it kind of like I can see why people would think that, which is really funny. But no, he has some. I'm trying to find it right now, but I can't find it. But he has a speech that he does, which people still quote today. I'm trying to find the exact words for it, but there's a lot of stuff in this game that's very, I think, reflective to real life, talking about kind of living in the moment and talking about, togetherness and again, the power of friendship and everything. And that's a very used trope all the time. But I don't know, for some reason in this, because it's like the whole partner system, you have our partner, this whole idea of like friendship and that can conquer things. I don't know, for me, really landed here with this game.
Yeah, are you talking about the quote he says about regret or something like that?
Yes.
Because I had
Yes.
seen that before, and he says that like regretting something you've done means that you're growing as a person or
Yes.
something like that.
Absolutely. That's what I was
Yeah.
looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had seen that before, but I didn't even realize as I was playing that it was gonna be from this game.
From that. Yeah. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
here I found it. He says, regret is proof you've grown. The fact that you wish you've done better means you're already someone who would. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, that's so good. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
such good, just like normal life advice and everything. It's just
Yeah,
awesome.
I really like that they set him up as, like you were saying, stereotypical, like, little bad guy trope, but then he
Yeah.
ended up being so profound and actually, like, as more things progress in the story, so sweet that I ended up, like, crying. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, I liked that. It was like, you were ready to be like, "What's going on with you?" And
Hmm.
then to just be, like, slapped in the face with, like, profound wisdom, I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I was wrong."
Yeah, and not only this, but you start to have this like relationship with Grovile, and again, skipping ahead, Grovile does end up sacrificing himself for you, which is also just like again, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional playing through a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, and this Explore the Sky was like, hey, come here, let me slap you with some emotional scenes where your Pokemon are sacrificing themselves for you, and I'm just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it was like, "Let me ruin your night."
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you feel about kind of the ending to Mystery Dungeon here, going and fighting the boss and everything, fighting Dust Noir, fighting Dialga? What was your kind of experience with that?
Tears. I used like 100 tissues.
Oh
It
no.
was like midnight, and I was just here like at this desk, like holding like 5 tissues up to my face being like, but I loved it. I think that the way that they tied it all together just like I said, I didn't guess any of it correctly. I didn't see it
Mhm.
coming. And then I kind of like that it didn't all have a happy ending because Grovile still sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
So it is still kind of bittersweet, and it's not just like, even though I do love a happy ending, it's not just like everything's all good and this was all like it never even happened. Like there were still some sacrifices, and you know, Shink, well, you and your
Mhm.
partner
Partner.
made it, did end up making a huge difference
Yeah.
and learning a bunch of life lessons too. And Shink's
Yeah.
got what they always want. Well, your partner gets what they always wanted to be, like
Yeah.
in the guild. And I just really liked the way everything played
The
out.
the scene at kind of the very end where the other kind of big reveal is you find out that you're from this future as well. You're another person
Hmm.
like Grovile and Dust Noir that's from this future. And after you kind of have the resolve of beating the big bad and everything like that, you go and you're kind of walking down this cliff and your partner starts disappearing. And then you have this whole speech about how like you were the reason why they grew and got to the point they were on and everything. And this is just like, again, this I didn't expect this game to make me cry so much, especially at the end. You grow so attached to this partner Pokemon that when they kind of disappear at the end, it creates a visceral feeling of just like, this is a friend that's leaving, and that's
Yeah.
so sad.
And the thing that Grovile, another point for Grovile, the thing that he says, like, as he's sacrificing himself and jumping through that portal, is he says something like, like saying goodbye is gonna be hard, and he says something about how that means that you like really trusted the person you're saying goodbye to, or grew to really
Yeah,
be friends with them or something. And it
yeah,
sounds like he's saying it to you, but then you have your little like thought bubble that says like, he said this to me so I would know because I'm about to disappear in front of my partner and I'm
yeah.
gonna have to leave them. And I was like, no. And I was hanging on to hope. I was like, it's not really gonna happen. And then you start like getting all those like illuminating bubbles
Yeah,
around you and saying that it is happening, and I was like, no, 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 no,
it's
you
not
just
real. This
I
can't be
was like, say
happening.
it ain't so.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so good. And I don't know if this is in lore or if this was a theory that I had seen, but I think it might have been a theory someone was trying to come up with, but that you are Grovile's trainer from the future. That's essentially what that is your Grovile's trainer. I don't remember if that's in-game lore or a theory that someone came up with.
I think that that is right because Grovile says, wait a minute, this is your name, and it ends up telling Grovile the name that you
Yes.
chose. And he's like, you can see those visions, and you
Mm-hmm.
and your partner, like, how did you know that? And Grovile's like, well, I know because you were my human and I was your trusted
Okay.
Pokemon partner, and that's the only way that you can see those visions. So that must mean that your partner now, you guys have a lot of trust together because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you wouldn't be seeing the visions.
Yeah.
So they don't say trainer, but
They kind
human with
of
a trusted Pokemon partner.
human with trusted partner is kind of what they're getting to. Yeah.
Yeah.
um yeah, this game is wild with its story, and again, random emotional impetus at the very end, which is crazy. Was there anything else on your notes on Mystery Dungeon that you wanted to bring up before we move on?
I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
I think that we hit on everything. The one thing I will say, which isn't a big thing at all, I will tell you that in the dungeons, I didn't understand what the shopkeeper was, and I walked over all the stuff and I died because they said I
Oh
was
no,
stealing
because you
from.
were stealing and he
Yes.
killed you.
I
No.
was like, what just happened? All I did was try to find like where I was
Yeah.
supposed to be going. Like, I'll give it back. But yeah, other
That's
than that,
That's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm imagining that you enjoyed Mystery Dungeon. You're
oh,
going
I
to go
loved
and
it.
play it. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that that was I was, like, kinda hoping that was the one that you would pick for me, but
Mhm.
I was like, "Let's see," because I think any game that you end up picking is gonna have, like, a reason behind it, and then you
Yeah,
said Mystery Dungeon, and I was like, "Yes, let's see," and I just feel
yeah.
like that experience and, like, my memory of being here at my computer sobbing about it is such it's actually such a good
Yeah,
experience to have as my first Pokemon game, to be, like, so emotionally invested, and it made me so excited to go back and finish Let's Go Eevee and hop back into Pokopia knowing that I've, like, seen these Pokemon
Yeah.
now and like care about them. So it was awesome.
Yeah. I wouldn't get too many hopes up with other Pokemon games having similar
Yeah.
narratives, but there's a reason why this is kind of like the top, because this is kind of the best it gets narrative wise.
Yeah.
Pokopia also has a very similar narrative too, where it does stuff like that. There's a couple games that I would say my favorite that people don't appreciate and don't love as much is Pokemon Sun. I think I did a funny games
Oh,
episode
okay.
on Pokemon Sun.
Yes, I think
That
I heard that.
that has a very interesting story that I like where it goes with its story. I wouldn't say it's necessarily emotion. I mean, it can be emotionally gripping, depending on your attachments to it, but it goes to some cool places. So Sun is another one, and it takes place on a tropical
Okay,
island.
cool.
So it's like that's always fun
That's
too.
cute. Yeah, I think like especially with me saying that I'm ready to jump back into Let's Go Eevee, which I already know doesn't have like much of a story
Yeah,
there and stuff. It's just that I feel like since I've already seen them all and gotten attached during this experience, I'm like, all right, let's go see you in a different setting.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's cool.
Awesome. Okay. Do you need a break or anything? You want to get some water, use the bathroom or anything? I know we've been going for a long time here already.
I know, I'm okay. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. I just always
Okay.
like to give guests a chance because I know we go long sometimes in our recordings, and 2 hours just sitting in front of a computer can be a lot. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
It's okay. I've trained myself with the Twitch streaming,
That's
so.
true. You're an expert at this point. You don't
Yeah.
even need anything. Okay. Okay, well, with that, let's move on to the game that you recommended me to play, which is Little Goody Two Shoes. So, same thing as before, some facts about Little Goody Two Shoes before we jump into the conversation. Little Goody Two, I knew this was going to be a tongue twister
It's
every
tough.
time I was going to say it. Little Goody Two Shoes originally released on October 31st, 2023, which Halloween, kind of a great time to release this game on, which is funny. This game is available everywhere. Switch, PS5, PC, Xbox. You can kind of play this game on every platform that you have. The synopsis of the game. Driven by a burning desire for a life of luxury, Elise ventures into the treacherous woods to fulfill a series of cryptic tasks for a powerful, otherworldly being. However, as the village's suspicion grows and the forest horrors intensify, she must decide how much of her soul she is willing to trade for a happily ever after. Now, I wrote the synopsis, but the game doesn't necessarily present a lot of that early on. Again, it's just like Pokemon, where a lot of the beginnings is kind of just like life sim stuff. There's a little bit of like, you can go on dates, you can go to characters, you can play mini games, which we'll get to the mini games. I loved all the crazy mini games that you can play in this, but it sets itself up as kind of a cute mystery game and quickly delves into very dark themes and very visually disturbing images and everything like that. I love the dichotomy between both of those. That's my favorite kind of like, there's a lot of anime that do this, is cute and just like utterly disturbing. Like that's my favorite like genre of thing.
Yeah, it was interesting because I didn't expect it to be like this either, which was part of the reason I was like rubbing my hands together like, yeah, I wonder what you're going to have to say
To
about
think
this
about
because
this, yeah.
I didn't think that you would really be expecting it either.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do like especially a lot of the anime I've watched like doesn't really do the cute into really horrific thing. Like I've watched like Sailor
Mm-hmm.
Moon, like it usually stays pretty positive vibes even when it's going toward like a scary direction. So this was like really cool to
Yeah.
dive into.
Anime rec, for anybody out there that wants this, there's a show called Yuka Yuna is a Hero, and it does this exact thing where it's about these girls and they're in a club, and the whole club's about like helping people, getting cats out of trees and everything. And they also have to kind of on the side, they're like magical girl superheroes, have to protect the world, but it gets very dark in what that does to them as they're trying to protect the world too. So it's a kind of fun balance between both of those things. So Yuka Yuna is a Hero. It's a great anime. I think it's only like 12 episodes or so, so it's pretty short.
Oh, okay. I need to remember that.
Yeah, I'll send you the name of it later on so you can actually
Okay.
have the remember it. As I said, this game, as the developers have quoted, this game was inspired by magical girl anime such as Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, Magical Knight Rayearth. And when I was doing these notes, I saw Slayers, which is the anime that I told you this looked like when I booted it up too. I was like, oh, it's crazy. This is the
Yeah, I
anime
had
that
no
said.
idea when you said that. I didn't know that it was actually inspired by it, so that's super funny.
Yeah, it's wild. Slayer is also a good anime. I don't know where you can watch it nowadays because it's not on Crunchyroll, but that is a great like 90s anime if you're into 90s magical girl anime. Developers did want Elise to kind of emulate that strong female protagonist, similar to a lot of the characters in these shows. And something that I didn't realize, but this is actually set up as a prequel to an existing game, Pocket Mirror. And, it started off as kind of a little spin-off to Pocket Mirror. And because of the scale, it grew into a full a prequel to the game. Prequel? This is a prequel. Yes, this is a prequel
Yeah.
to Pocket Mirror, which has now made me very interested in checking out what Pocket Mirror is and everything. It looks like we'll get into kind of the happenings of the game, but Pocket Mirror looks like it takes place more in the like witching hour sections of this game than anything else. It kind of looks like it takes place in that realm rather than just like the real world, which is interesting. I'm curious to see how this how it works.
Interesting and a little intimidating because that was the obviously most difficult part. So
God,
I don't know.
Some of these puzzles, I was like, I have to look this up. There's no shot that I'm going to be able to solve this, and I'm just banging my head against the wall trying to do it. They also quote the world as being influenced by games like Legend of Mana, Saga Frontiers, and RPG Maker, which I'm pretty sure Pocket Mirror was created in RPG Maker as well, which is kind of cool. Reception wise, this game got good reviews, 84 on Metacritic, a lot of 8s out of 10s, 7 out of 10s around. People say that it has a good mix of different genres. It does a bunch, again, I already brought up the mini games and kind of what it does for that, but in this witching hour that you do, each one is kind of set up in a different gameplay mechanic, and I really like that idea of kind of messing with genres too, which is a lot of fun. But a lot of people were criticizing the puzzles of the game, and some people calling it a little repetitive, which we'll get into my thoughts. I agree and disagree with some of that too. I think that some of the puzzles are a little obtuse, and I don't think I like the whole mechanic of the game. I don't think it's repetitive, but I can see how someone could think it's repetitive, where you're just like, oh, doing a task to progress the day, talk to someone, date, witching hour, and then you do that 5 times for the next 5 days. I can see how someone would get a little tired of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I want to talk about, similar to Pokemon, is actually, you know what? I'm curious for you. This was the game that you recommended me. Kind of what was it about Little Goody Two Shoes that made you want to have me play it for this episode?
So we have talked about anime before. So yes. I thought that the art style, also sometimes we talk about the soundtracks in games. The art style and the soundtrack together, I kind of thought that you would enjoy. But then separate from that, I thought that it was a little different than games that I've heard you cover before. So I was interested in kind of like, I didn't know if you'd ever get around to this one or if it was even on your radar. So, but I would have been really interested to hear what you thought about it. So now I'm glad I get to. And on top of all of that, we've also had conversations about some of the dating mechanics in other games, and I was so curious to see who you would pick, what direction you would go in with that too. And then, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, I didn't think that you would see right off the bat just how dark it was gonna get, and I wanted to see if that was something that you enjoyed or not. So there were just a lot of things that from previous conversations we've had, I would love to pick your brain about with this game. And I just didn't think that you would ever get around to it unless I picked it for the show. So
I mean, honestly, I'm drawing a blank of who I listened to that even brought this game up in general, what podcast it was. It might have been Fake Gamer Girls. I don't know if Aaron talked to, is it that?
That's where I heard about it. Okay. Yeah. And I was so glad.
I had heard the name in passing, but until you had recommended it when we were sitting down to pick a game for the show, never like heard of anything, didn't know anything about the game. I didn't look up anything going into it. I was like, I started up the starting screen. I watched the anime intro. I was like, this is great. This is a cool anime game. I'm very excited. I had no idea of any of the themes that they lean into, which happen pretty quickly in this game, right? Where Mystery Dungeon kind of takes a while to kind of percolate until it gets to its weird stuff. Little Goody Two Shoes is like, here it is. You're in a weird castle and you're being attacked by candles and it's getting strange.
Yeah, it really took me for a ride, I feel like, because other than hearing about it on Fake Gamer Girls, I also tried to go in blind because I knew that it was partially a horror game. So I was scared to even look it up at all because I didn't want anything to get ruined. So I went in and very quickly I was like, oh, oh, what's happening?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's like jump scares in this game that are
Yeah.
like quite horrifying. And even though it's not like super graphic, some of the game over screens where you're just like getting chopped in half, it's like a silhouette, so it's not showing a lot of things, but you're just like dismembered in different ways. I'm just like, holy, this is insane.
Yeah, and that was interesting, like, s them saying it was inspired by Sailor Moon, and I kinda touched on
Yeah.
this earlier. It's like, those shows aren't graphic. Like Sailor Moon, nothing
Yes.
happens. Even when things do happen to them, like they're not bloody or anything. So I kind of thought that it was going to be a little more cutesy
Hmm.
about it. But I don't know, something about me realizing that it wasn't, and it was a little more gory, and then switched
Yeah.
back to like cute but still creepy during the day. Like I was just really drawn to that. I like stuff like that. So I was kind of excited that it was a little bit
Yeah.
darker. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I like how it is segmented, right? And during the day, it's kind of when all your normal happenings go on. I mean, things do happen later in the story, but for the most part, again, you're talking to characters, you're doing tasks. This game also has a hunger system that you have to manage too, a hunger and a sanity bar, which is I didn't know. Talk about me not learning things until way later. I didn't know that you can build up your sanity bar. I didn't know how to do that until Thursday, Friday of this
Oof.
game, where
Yeah.
I learned that you can buy like the elixirs and stuff or the grape juice in the shop and do that. Um, so I didn't. There's a lot of mechanics that I did not parse and figure out right away.
Yeah, I feel like this is another one that doesn't fully hold your hand because it does, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly, have a tutorial about some stuff in the beginning, but it leaves
yeah.
other stuff out. Like it tells you to go to the bakery to get bread for
Hmm.
your hunger, but it doesn't tell you to go all the way across town for the other shop to get grape juice.
Yeah.
It just says like little hints like watch your insanity, and it's like I'm watching it, but what do you want me to do about it?
I'm
So,
watching it go down every
yeah.
single day. What would you like me
Yeah.
to do about that? That took, I was like, I gotta Google it because it started getting low and things started going crazy. And I was like, I have to, which again, going to like the music and audio, they play around with when it gets low enough, you start hearing voices and they like bounce voices and like hear the mic and everything like that, which is so cool.
Yeah, and if you get like your hearts, I think the insanity does it too, but if your hearts are low enough, everything starts to get like blurry and
Yep.
scary too. And it was really
Yeah.
cool how they played around with that stuff. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I did not learn about that until much late into the game, which is interesting. But yeah, it's interesting how they tell you about some things and then don't tell you about others like that too. But I mean, I forgot the whole other shop existed. I was just so focused on
Yep.
the bread one and not starving to death that I completely even forgot the other one was there.
So did you realize, I have a couple questions now. Did
Yes,
you
please.
realize that you could get the free bread from the girl on the swing?
Yes,
Okay, good.
Lebkuchen,
Yeah.
Leb.
Yeah. And then another question I have is I guess you mentioned you weren't using any of the save slots, right?
I
You
used
told me
one
that.
of them. I used one save
Okay.
slot.
I'm so interested in how that went for you, where as soon as I noticed that there were save points, I was like, I've never played a game like this, and I can sense that this is gonna be bad, and I saved every time I saw a save point. Or
Yes.
I think actually maybe I learned my lesson like the first witching hour
Mm,
where I got sent so far back that I was like, what the hell just happened? And then I caught
mm,
on like save points, like I see what I need to
yeah.
be doing. How did that work for you when you were realizing things like your sanity was low and stuff? You couldn't just go back to the morning and prevent that from happening. So how'd that go for you?
Yeah. So it was a journey, which is kind of
Okay.
where I'm at now. So all disclaimer, I did not finish Little Goody Two Shoes. And I'm at a point where I'm either gonna have to go back like 3 days or figure out what to do here. So I'm stuck. There's also another mechanic where there's a character that's introduced called Rose and Marine, and she's the whole precipice is they think there is a witch in town, and the witch is doing terrible things to people and things happening around the town. And so you're trying to convince people that yourself and Rose and Marine are not the witch. But there's a suspicion. Suspicion level will go up if you ever do things. Or there's another character called Muffy who had seen you originally with Rose and Marine, where if you don't give her food, she like creates this propaganda of you being a witch. And if you don't feed her the right food, not only that, but if you don't have the right food item at the right time when she shows up, you also can't do that either. So there's a whole suspicion mechanic that you have to manage. And if it gets to 10, then I guess they burn you at the stake. I didn't have that happen to me, but that's what happens.
So, I mean, you were kind of screwed with Muffy then too, because when she would pop up, I'd be like, okay, well,
makes so
now
much sense. You just go back and then you just get what you need for her.
Yes. So because also if you decline to give her the right food, she ups your suspicion. But if you ignore her, because you can hear her like calling to you or laughing and it tells you she's there, if you ignore her, she also ups your suspicion. So you're kind of like, you have to.
You know, you're like unlocking things in my brain that I feel like I should have figured out a long time ago, because I was like, how am I supposed to? She requests an item. And if you don't have it, you have to turn her down. But then she disappears. I'm like, how am I supposed to get the item if I don't know what she needs beforehand? I gotta go back, and then I gotta figure. It all makes sense. I did I did a save on a Wednesday or something, and then I was like, oh, I should do at least one other save spot just in case I have to. But then I just got sucked in with just playing the game and grinding that I didn't create another one. I was so used to doing that, and I struggled with the save system a lot. Not only that, but just like in the puzzles, a lot of times the save points are pretty fragmented in how often you see them, so you'll have to do things over and over again if you lose. And my only qualm with that, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with like learning by failure and having to solve puzzles that way. The problem is some cutscenes you can't skip. There's a skip feature, but just like if the whole mechanic is like learn by failure and die and repeat and figure it out, why am I having to sit through cutscenes over and over again?
I did feel like that was super old fashioned. Like, I don't know. I just haven't seen a game that came up, because you said 2023, right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like recently they've made it so that you can just skip through. Oh.
Sorry, I clicked you out of the thing. That's my bad.
Nope. I was scared that it was me.
No, it was me.
I was like, oh God, no. So yeah, this is like, what do they call it? Save scumming the game. Like
it honestly is. It really
I can't believe that that's not how you played it. And like even down to little things like in those witching hour puzzles, the saves are fragmented, but sometimes that would come in handy, because I would save the beginning of the puzzle halfway through it. Then if something was happening, like if the first half of the puzzle was a little bit easier, but I lost a lot of hearts just because I didn't know what I was doing, and then the second half of the puzzle, I realized that I really needed those hearts, I could go back and play the first half of the puzzle and lose less hearts now that I knew what I was doing. And then I would make it through the harder part because I was able to.
I'm learning that I just played this game wrong is what I'm hearing, because this happened to me. There's a section where there's a little boy named Apfel, and he gets taken to the woods. There's a whole thing where you have to kind of protect him and do these puzzles. And I did that whole section with a single heart. And I kept dying over and over again, because there's a woods. These birds will come out of the woods and kill you, and I get killed in one hit. So I managed to figure out how to do the whole section with him with one single heart, because I didn't have any saves to get hearts beforehand.
That's actually crazy. That's crazier than me making my way through the dungeons with no knowledge that moves existed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds so frustrating.
Yeah, it was. So I'm just like, yo, kid, why? And it was just like, sometimes the perspective's a little difficult. So like I was running into spikes, and I'm like, I wasn't even near that spike wall. How did I take damage from it? But I figured it out. Well, maybe not, since I'm stuck in the game at the moment, but
well, yeah. I can't believe it, because there were so many little things like the hearts, or like if I was trying to there were like those items that would sparkle and you could break them and find hearts or food, and I'd be trying to just run to the next save point, but then if I realized, you know what, I actually need that stuff, like I could go back. And for the hunger mechanic too, sometimes if you run out of bread, you die like completely, like it's like game over.
Same.
So I would have to go back all the way to like that morning and redo the whole day, and made sure that I stopped in to like buy bread instead of doing like the heart event or something.
everything you're saying makes perfect sense. I'm seeing that you've opened my third eye, and I'm seeing the vision here.
But they don't tell you that, to
they
be
do not
fair.
tell
And they
you
don't even
that.
tell you
Right.
they don't even tell you it is a save slot. Like a little bird just comes down and you just have to find the intrigue to walk over and be like, why is it sitting there?
I should have, when there's 20 save slots, I should have known that there was some kind of like, you're gonna have to save. I saved every time I could. I just only kept one save slot. I never did multiple until towards the end. So I might have to just go back until my Wednesday save and just go from there, or figure out, because I don't. Well, I think Muffy shows up where I'm at now. She's asking for an apple strudel. So I'm wondering if getting her that will at least, because I'm at max. I'm at max suspicion on my current save. So I can't, if I progress the day, if I do a chore, if I do anything, immediate attacked by the villagers, tied to a tree, and game over. So I'm wondering if I can give Muffy that strudel now that I know she wants that, and her that will go down, or I might have to go back. I might just be.
You're at max suspicion without Muffy even telling on you?
Yes.
You might be screwed. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and the other thing too is the other way you raise your suspicion is like villagers will come ask you questions, and you have to try to, I guess, get them away from the idea that you're witches. And I thought I was answering correctly, but after every conversation, it was like suspicion went up. So I was like, clearly I answered that incorrectly.
It is sneaky, because really something sneaky about Elise that we didn't touch on, which I thought was interesting, because her being modeled after all those magical girls, I feel like they're not as fresh as she is. Like, it was interesting that she was kind of sassy, and like, I keep going back to Sailor Moon because like I love that anime, and they say that it was an inspiration for this, but like those kind of animes, like the girl is very sweet, is like very pure of heart, like wants to be nice to everybody. And I feel like Elise is like kind of rude.
Yeah.
So then I would find myself, which is still endearing, that's fine. But I would find myself answering those questions for the villagers and trying to avoid the rude answer.
And she just, all her answers are the rude answer.
And then I would try to pick the one that was less rude, because I'd be like, oh, they'll be happy that I'm being a little more nice.
Yeah.
And then they would think it was suspicious that I wasn't talking like myself.
They're either like suspicious that you're being rude, or suspicious that you're defending Rose and Marine.
Yes,
and like,
yes.
It
was tough.
I can't win. Okay. But I mean, not to fully spoil my feelings towards the end, because I'll do like a full thing of how I felt about the game. I'm gonna finish this. Whether that means I go back to Wednesday or not, I'm gonna finish this game regardless, because I've enjoyed my experience so far, and I do want to see the end. Yeah, just the whole save system is save scumming the game. I think you're right. It really is just like save every chance you get, go back, restart, do things over, try to get your perfect experience, your perfect health, the perfect amount of things that you want. And that's going to be, if you're thinking about playing this, that's probably going to be the best way and the most successful way of playing through this game.
100%. Yeah.
So you touched on, there's romance in this game. You can have dateable characters. There's 3 dateable characters, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rose and Marine is one of them. There's another character named Freya. And then there is Lebkuchen. And Lebkuchen is kind of like I forgot what Freya's role is. I don't remember what she does in the village. But Leb is kind of a like nun in training. She works with the what's his name? Oh, Father Hans. Yeah, she works with him and everything, and is a nun in training. And Leb is the one that I decided to go down. I decided to go down Leb's route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which did you do? Do you remember?
Freya.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I'm curious of it's interesting, and you can tell me if this happens, because Leb feels like she's very integrated into the story. I don't know if that's just because I went down her route. Does Freya become more integrated into the actual narrative as you start going down, or?
No, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting.
And it's actually funny that you say that, because I felt like, I guess that makes sense, because I almost felt like I was missing something. Like Leb should have been more of the story, or that I didn't understand. Like, I could tell she was supposed to be prominent, but I couldn't tell why, other than the fact she was giving me bread, which was very important.
Yeah.
But no, it was actually interesting romancing Freya. It felt very slice of life, and it almost felt like I could have taken all of those heart events that I had with her and just like had them not happen, and I would have been fine with like the way the story went.
Yeah.
But I just thought that she was adorable, so I went with that.
Yeah. I also thought Leb was cute, but it's very similar with her. It's It's very surface level, where it doesn't, other than it feeling like Leb is very integrated into the narrative, because there's a lot of thing with Father Hans, and there's another character where the both of them are kind of leading the charge to you or Rose and Marine specifically, and you hiding it being witches. And Leb has to kind of deal with that in between of being like, oh, I have this friend slash romanceable person I have who I like, who's saying one thing, and then I have my duty as a nun to Father Hans, and they're saying another thing. So that's why I felt like integrated into the story, because there was like this
Yeah.
kind of back and forth that was happening with her. And there's even some struggle you see with her of, it's like, I'll keep your secret, but then also still wanting to do her duties and everything too.
Yeah, it's interesting with her too, like even not having gone down her romance path, I do see how she even just had more of a story like in herself,
Yeah.
where I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if you don't romance Freya, she like probably basically does nothing the whole time.
She does not show up
But
at all.
yeah, okay.
Story
So it is interesting that Leb is like having that. I thought it was sweet that she was like trusting you, and she could tell you were being sketchy, but she's like, that's not my business.
Well, she even says at one point, she's like, even if you're the witch, I'll still have your back. And I was like, oh, yeah, I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet. She's sweet. I can definitely see now, though, that Freya probably, doesn't show up at all.
And then I wonder how it works with Rose and Marine, because she's also very integrated into the narrative. Like how it works if you just go straight down her route too. Is it just because all the interactions didn't necessarily give me a ton of context? I mean, a little bit's about like her saying, if you're the witch, I will still like appreciate you and everything like that. And then towards the end, there's like a broken down house that you go with her that apparently you guys played like house when you were kids, and you pretended to own a little shop, and you pretended to do all this stuff. But the whole time, I don't know if the phrase is the same, the whole time Leb's like, I have something I want to tell you, but I can't tell you until Saturday, and which is the last day of the game. And so the whole time, which I still don't know what that is, by the way, I didn't get to figure it out. But the whole time she was like, I have something to tell you, but it has to wait until the festival. And I was like, okay, interesting.
If you do find out, you have to tell me. Okay. But also, I guess I'll say maybe that wasn't a fair assessment of Freya, because I don't know. I mean, I don't think it would have made a huge difference, but I did not get full hearts with her, so I didn't get to see like the last sliver of story. I think that I saw, because they have like an official guide that they made with like spoiler free, and I was looking through that, and it's on Steam. And I was looking through that, and it said that there's like one final like story heart event that you get if you get full hearts with anybody, and if not, then you just continue into the end of the game. But I still don't really feel like it would have made a huge difference with her. Like, there's no way in one heart event they would have like made and wrapped up an entire story that wasn't there the whole time. So
I wonder if that's what I got then, because that last thing with the abandoned house is the last thing I did before I got stuck in this loop of being caught and suspicious. But right as I did that last date, I got like it was like a diamond that came up, and it said like her name and everything. So I don't know if I did get full hearts with her, and then it would set up an event for her at the very last day towards the festival. So now I'm really curious, that I really want to see what happens with her, because it was, like I said, it wasn't like anything too crazy, but she is keeping up this mystery of there's something that she wants to say at the end. And I don't know if she's going to be like, I love you, you're great, you're awesome, or what's going to be her secret that she has. She's the witch. Oh, I don't know. Well, I realize that I don't know the ending, and you know how it ends, so now I can like speculate, and you can be like, maybe, sort of. I know there's multiple. Have you seen all the endings or no?
No, no. I got my ending, and I feel like it left things unanswered. But I have other. Well, without spoiling anything, I don't think that my save slots will matter. I think that I have to.
You have to go back
fully and replay it.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. I wonder if getting burned is one of the endings. Does it end, or you get a game over? Have you got burned alive before?
So I did, and then I just went back and continued going, and then I did get an ending.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've brought up a couple times the witching hour, and that kind of leads into the gameplay, because for the most part, the gameplay in the daytime is just kind of you walking around and talking to people. There's not even really dialogue options until you're kind of being confronted by townsfolk in raising or lowering your suspicion. So most of it is pretty neutral with your involvement. But when it comes to the witching hour, that is when the puzzles come in. And so kind of this first one happens when Elise kind of goes to sleep, and they're almost set up as like little like nightmares, but they're happening in reality, not happening in reality. In the beginning, you're really trying to figure out like what's real and what isn't. The first one, you're set up in like a castle I had brought up before, and you're trying to collect these keys and not get hit by this these floating candles that are attacking you too. This was kind of the first time where like a game over screen has that like silhouetted visceral death animation that happens to Elise. And I was like, oh, not only is it like visually dark because you're in a gothic castle and it's night and it's scary music, but then she get like torn apart by like demon candles. And I was like, oh, this is gonna get like this is gonna get crazy dark.
Yeah, that's where I was like, I don't think this is gonna be as cutesy as
Mm,
I thought it was.
yeah.
But like I said, I was kind of here for it. Like sometimes I do, depending on my mood, sometimes I kind of like that. So I was like, okay, what is this? But I was also like, oh Lord.
Yeah, some of the especially like exactly some of the death animations, I was like, this is intense. Like
Yeah.
these are getting crazy. And even the game over screen has like a porcelain doll of Elise, and it's kind of broken in half and it's kind of cut in half too. But no, this is like I'm extremely hooked at this point because I'm like, I love the balance between the whole witching hour and everything too, and kind of the premise that comes out of this is there is this entity that a lot of people just refer to as him. There's this otherworldly entity that will grant your deepest desire, and we learn that Elise's deepest desire is kind of is like money, fame, notoriety. It's being loved and known by everybody. And the entity says, sure, I can do this for you, but I need these three things first, these three testaments that you have to do, which are set up as like trials and puzzles in the witching hour that you have to do in order to proceed. Because I haven't finished it, I'm still in like the speculation. I'm just trying to figure out what this is and who him is. And every now and then there is this old woman that seems to know you or know who you are too. It's kind of crazy.
So yeah, it is crazy. And I was actually wondering how you
Hmm.
felt about that storyline and
Yeah.
Elise like doubling down because he says that and she's like, okay, basically like
Yeah.
it surprised me that she wasn't like, oh, maybe this is too much of a price to pay. She's kind of just like, okay, this is really crazy, but I got to do what I got to do. How did you feel about that being her mindset?
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about how Elise is kind of like default rude. That's kind of her. I know they wanted to be like, oh, she's obviously confident, powerful woman. They wanted to reflect that a little bit, but I think they kind of just made her into a little bit of an asshole. Like they kind of just like leaned that way with her, which is an interesting character trait. But even in this, she has this desire, which innately is a selfish one, right? She wants it to be about her. She wants the fame. She wants the notoriety and everything like that. But even when presented about the sacrifices that you might have to make and going through some of these things, she's always still like mindset goal is still doing all of this stuff. Even though it seems like people are getting hurt and Abfel's getting involved and all these people are kind of getting sucked into all these choices that you're making, but you're still kind of willing to sacrifice some of this stuff for your own gain, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if I love it's an interesting character trait that I don't think is ever explored very much of a selfish character, of a character that's
Yeah.
only doing things for her own gain and really doesn't care much about anybody else.
Yeah, and I don't know how her like heart events went with Webb, but I feel like it
Yeah.
even translates into those too, or at least what I saw. And it is interesting. And like you said, they said that they wanted to make her like a strong
Hmm.
personality. But I mean, I guess it is interesting to see like a character who is just unwavering
Yeah.
and is like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to reach my dreams. But it's interesting to see those dreams be so selfish and
Hmm.
have them not like in every other story where I've heard something like this, I feel like they have that turning point where they're like, is this worth it all? And she's just like, well, got to get through my next nightmare because I'm so close.
Exactly. Like, not at any point of these, I'd be like, I don't know if this is worth it, y'all. I don't think
Yeah.
this is like, I don't think running through this watery demon realm where these ghostly women in masks are chasing me is worth this goal that I have. Like, it is interesting that there isn't a time where it is ever her like determination is ever wavered, even to the point like
Yeah.
ultimately this actually, I don't know if the entity is him or a messenger of him will show up in different forms. It'll be a crow, a gold crow in the beginning. The second one is a snake. And when she's talking to the snake, she's even just like, okay, what do you want me to do? I don't need the whole
Mhm.
like song and dance of it. Just tell me what you want to do and I will go do it. Where she's just like, I don't care what I have to do. I will do it if it means I can succeed in this goal that I want, which is, again, I guess a character trait I haven't seen explored very often, but interesting that they took that route.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, she's headstrong for sure
Guess so.
and confident, I guess, because even when they're like, you're basically about to enter hell, she's like, all right, like, give me the basket
Let's do it.
and let's do it. I mean, I guess it is like, I want to say cool in a way.
I don't know.
I don't
It
know.
feels strange, and I mean, this could be coming from. I guess you finished the game though. I think it could become from a place of me not having the full picture, because like, what does it look like if she does get her goal? So like a happy ending where like she has everything but she's sacrificed, which kind of would feel very on brand with this, like a whole scene of like, yes, she was successful, and then showing the, her everything that got hurt in her path in order to get to that place. So I don't know if that's going to play out, but I'm curious to see what the resolution is, or if Elise ever has that, like, is this going too far? Because she constantly gets talked to for those like little like golden ghost figures reminding her of this, and she still doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you encountered, because those are really easy to miss. There's
Yeah.
only a couple times that they force you to talk to her, but yeah, that's a good point. I think that if I got a different ending, I would know, but I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't thought about that. So I do wonder if that ever plays out differently. But yeah, they are like actively warning
Yeah.
her, except for Rose and Marine. I don't know if you noticed that, but Rose and Marine's kind of just like, yeah, you got it, girl.
That is true. I
Don't.
hadn't connected those dots too, but she, every time you get the testament, she's like encouraging you. She's like, "Yeah, keep going, do more, keep going, keep getting what you want." And Rosa Marine brings up like fate, like the whole reason that she was there. She shows up in like the chicken coop of Elise's backyard, and she's like, "I had a dream about you, and now I'm here." I'm like, that's a little creepy, but sure, let's run it.
Yeah. And even that, like, Elise is even headstrong in that instance where she's like, I don't know you, but you say that you can help me out with this, so get in my
Yeah,
house and leave your goat out here.
yeah. Oh, I love. What is his name?
I forget his name, but he's so
He's
cute.
adorable. I don't know. The goat's a little sus too. There was a couple of scenes where the goat was like looking a little sus. So I don't know. I still don't know the full picture about Rose and Marie. Is she actually the witch? I mean, she has a
Yeah.
witch like straw hat on, which I think is hilarious. But I guess I'll have to wait to find out.
Yeah, I'm I'm interested too.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up, something that I really did love every time I did it, was some of the mini games that you do around town, and they're just like, it's like a full game in itself. There's a handful of different ones, between one called like, it's like don't kiss the rat or kiss the rat or something, where you're tossing like a stuffed rat between two kids and you're hitting it back and forth with a baseball bat, to like catching apples that are falling into a basket, and chopping wood and not hitting chickens to gather. There's like a bunch of different mini games, and honestly I love them all. They were always fun, and they are a way of, whenever you do them, you move on to the next time of day. So if you're trying to progress, they're an easy way to kind of like progress to the next thing too.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought them up because I wanted to know what you thought about them. I'm glad to know that you liked them.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was kind of fun to break up like the seriousness and the
Yeah.
stressful nature of doing the puzzles at night. And then you wake up and you're like, I need money for bread, so let's go do this. It kind of
Hmm.
put me in a better mood. Did you like the way that they looked like arcade games? Like the full
Yes.
arcade came up and
I
everything?
love
Yeah,
it.
I
It's
thought
like
you
an
would think that was
arcade
cool.
cabinet, and I'm like, this is, and you get a score at the end. So now I'm like trying to grind to get the best score. I did get S's on 2 mini games. I think I got an S in.
Oh.
Oh, I'm blanking on on all the mini games. I have to look it up. Little Goody 2 Shoes mini games. I didn't get them very
That's
often.
actually
There's only
crazy.
2 of them.
I didn't know you could get an S. I was over here getting A's thinking that was
Oh
like
no.
the pinnacle. So
Yeah.
I was like, I
There's
was
the
like,
wood
yeah, I'm the best at
shopping.
Kiss the Rat.
Yeah, I think I got an S in Kiss the Rat, and I think I got
Oh
an
my god.
S in the egg grabbing one.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's crazy. I was horrible at the egg grabbing one. Like, I just did not time that right. I would do it and get a C and be like, we're gonna have to live with a C.
We're gonna live with this. I'm fine with that. I was
Yeah.
like that in the beginning, and then I gained determination of being like, I can do this. I have to be successful at this. Damn, I can't find all of the mini games. Because I know there's more than just those two. There's the kiss the rat. There's the wood chopping one. There's the egg one. There is apples.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's more.
Is that not all of them?
I feel like there's like 3 more.
3 more.
Maybe
the goat's name is Flock.
Flock, which I love. I love Flock. Flock is great. I don't know if Flock is evil. Flock might be evil. I don't know if Flock and Rose and Marine are evil. Well, if you don't know, probably Flock's probably not evil then.
Yeah, I'm like trying to like not spoil things, but I will tell you that like I don't know how anything plays out.
Can't spoil it if you don't know. Like, so it's perfect.
Yeah, like if we talk about my ending at all, I'll let you know like why I think that is, but I just I didn't.
I would. We'll get there. I would love to know your ending because there's multiple. I would love to know how yours ends too.
Okay.
Yeah, going back to kind of the witching hour, I liked some of them, and some of them were just ridiculous. Like they were so hard. The one, the mechanic puzzle one that I struggled with a lot was the one with Abfell, where you guys are like linked together and you have to move him and you at the same time. And honestly, the hardest part of all of that was just sitting through the damn cutscene over and over again. I just was tired of sitting through the cutscene where he's in the tree. That was the worst part.
Oh, yes, 100%.
And being dumb and not saving and having to figure out how to go through that whole section with only a single heart, which is also, I didn't have any room to ever be bad at that. I had to just go through and not really get attacked by birds and everything. The other one that was really hard, there's the second section with the snake where you're going through, again, this like watery level where you're running through water and there's like these maidens that are coming after you. That one was difficult. That whole section was hard to do. And even I did look up a walkthrough. I think you have it in here if I did any walkthrough looking. I did a walkthrough for a couple of these and figuring out the solutions. I was like, how would I have ever figured any of this out?
Yeah. So did you feel like, well, I guess you kind of just answered this because I was going to say, I feel like the hardest part wasn't even trying to make it through like the jump scares or the things that ran at you without dying. Cause it's like, if that happens, you're like, okay, I got to get a little faster this time or whatever. But the puzzles, like you mentioned, like some stuff, the way that they word it and then just let you go out into the nightmare, I'm like, how would I have ever guessed to do that? I guess if you've played a lot of games like that, maybe a lot of narrative puzzles or like a lot of horror, I don't know. But without that, I didn't look up like walkthroughs or like spoiler guides, or I think I watched like solutions. Yeah. When I watched videos, I would try to stop right where I was so that I could try to figure out the rest by myself. But without that Steam guide that they made that was like specifically spoiler free, I'm like, I don't know how you're supposed to do this.
No. Yeah. I have no idea. There's one in there where it kind of references like the phases of the moon and using the phases of the moon to find the different statues, but then hitting the different statues in like a specific order too is also how you progress. And I did look up I used the walkthrough for that one because I was like, I'm not gonna also just like time wise too, I was like, I want to finish this and I'm already juggling like other games, so I was like, I need to be able to get through some of these puzzles quickly.
Yeah, and then the Steam walkthrough will be like, and don't forget to turn your screen upside down so that you know how the puzzle works. Why would you ever think that I would just decide to turn the screen upside down? Like, why would I do crazy. That?
These are some insane puzzles. It's funny that we talked about this.
I did see some complaints.
Yeah.
Like saying that they were like a little pretentious or like just assuming that you would be like, well, obviously turn it around. And I don't know.
Of course. How did you not?
But sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that the episode I just recorded before this with Kai and Ben, we were playing through another game that has very obtuse puzzles at times where their solutions are just like, I would never have connected these two things ever in my life. And I don't know how they expected me to. And that happens a couple times in Little Goody 2 Shoes as well.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder with stuff like that if they just expected you to play for like 100 hours until you figured it out, or if they expected you to just have the guide with you the whole time, or if they were kind of like they knew what they were doing, so maybe they like incorrectly assumed that other people would figure it out, but they were kind of blinded by the fact that like they were the ones making the puzzle. Sometimes I
Yeah.
feel like that happens, but I don't know.
Oh, for sure. Like, especially if you're creating the puzzle and like having the solution, I feel like it's you lose an opportunity of having the lens of someone that is coming to this without the solution, because you're just like, well, yeah, I mean, obviously this is how you do it. Might not be obvious to people that are playing through it as well. So,
Yeah.
but I think that again, I did enjoy a lot of the witching hour stuff because of its theming and just being different than the normal day-to-day stuff. And there were puzzles that like made me feel smart. And I think that's important in puzzles. It's like making them difficult enough where they're challenging, but not too obtuse where you're never going to be able to solve it. And there is puzzles in here that do fall into that, where it's like, oh, I got like oh yes moment when I do figure out the whole plot of having to do and what to do with each thing and items and everything like that too. So there are puzzles like that in this game that I enjoyed.
Yeah, and I liked that it was kind of a learning experience for me.
Oh yeah,
like
for me too.
Having not played a game like this before, I feel like I'm more equipped to try something similar now, because when I started this game, like first witching hour, I didn't know what to look for to kind of get a hint that something was like interactable or might give you hearts, or I didn't know that like those moments before something runs out at you, like the grass shaking means that. Like I was missing those little cues because I hadn't played a game like this. And I noticed that by the end I would enter a witching hour and something would glimmer or move a little bit, and I'd be like, I know what's about to happen over here. So I
Yeah.
do feel like they were at least a good like learning experience for me, which I'm grateful for, but they were frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. And some of these mechanics are very this game specific too. Like even having knowledge of previous puzzle games, I don't know would really help in some of these instances, but it is learning the specific game mechanics themselves. Like you said, the shimmering items and the shaking bushes and in the water level, not walking over the porcelain masks, because those masks will spawn the little women that will chase you and everything like that too. So it's also just kind of learning the language of the game itself and figuring out what you can and can't do too. Which again, I do enjoy. I enjoy that as a puzzle of trying to figure all of that out. It's just some of them, between my frustrations with my saves and some of these puzzles, I was just like, oh god, I just want answers. I just want to know things. I just want to see the ending.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying. Do you have more questions? Anything else you want to touch on? Did you have more questions for me about this game? Anything specific you want to know about that I experienced or didn't experience?
No, I don't think so. I think I will tell you like what happened to me if you were interested.
Yes. Let me know. Let me know your ending.
So I guess this is kind of spoilery, but only for one of the endings, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't know like what Rose and Marine's deal is, because I
okay, interesting.
romanced Freya.
Yeah.
And I think that you kind of have to like romance Rose and Marine to get that out of her, because you miss out on like all those stories. So I didn't figure out what happens with her, and I also didn't figure out what happens with Elise, because I think it was like day 2. There is a completely skippable part of the story that is integral to you completing it. And after you do something like in the witching hour, I mean, should I tell you what it is?
Yeah, I'm actually curious because I want to know if I've done this or not, or do I have to go all the way back to day 2 and now do this as well?
So it was one of those things where it was like very light dialogue, like I touched on they do at the beginning, where they kind of set you up to find stuff, but you know, you might not realize things like the insanity, like being able to be like brought back up until later. It was like they worded it kind of like those things where it was after a witching hour, I think, and they say something like something about the church, like they say something about it, and you're supposed to take that and run with it and be like, before I go to bed, or maybe it's not the witching hour, it might be like right the next day or right before that witching hour starts, something like that. They say something about the church and you have to go in there and get an item, and if you don't get that item, you don't have one of the sacrifices you need at the end of the game. So I didn't have it, and I got a bad ending. Do you want me to tell you what actually happened to Elise?
Do you Well, first, do you know what the item is? I don't know if I have it or not.
It was the first sacrifice, which I think was like the flesh or something like
Yeah.
that. You were supposed to go like something you got from the witching hour, one of the testaments you got, you were supposed to go run through something in the church or something like that to turn it into something else.
Okay.
And so that one raw item I had wasn't what it actually needed for the sacrifice. So when I got there, I just had to give it to them in the state that I had it, and I hadn't like processed it to be the next item.
I might have done this. I'm not sure because the first testament
Good.
is the hair. You get like your hair
Mhm.
cut off and everything. And because I romanced Leb, I spent a lot of time in the church. I went through the church a lot, upstairs on the balcony. I did a lot of that. And I
Okay.
think that item changed. I just don't remember what it changed into. So I think I did
Okay, so
that
it sounds like you're
unintentionally.
good.
So I sound okay.
Perfect.
So what happened? What happened to you?
So
I'm curious.
obviously there was no way for me to go back and fix that and still
Sure.
finish it in time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to also I was literally at the end, like, so
Right.
I was like, let's just see what, and I didn't know, like, they don't tell you right away when you put it in the like sacrificial basket that it's not the right thing. So
Mm.
like I just had, but I had a feeling. And when I got to the end and had given them all the sacrifices, they said that it wasn't satisfactory. And this,
Oh.
like, I can't remember if it was the snake or like a different entity, but one of the like evil entities that you've been seeing in the nightmares took over my body. I wasn't Elise anymore, but I was like Elise's body, but like with a new evil person inside of me. And I like woke up the next day and that was like they lived
In your body?
evilly through me from then on. Yeah. And I obviously didn't get all my wishes fulfilled or become famous and rich or anything because instead I was just taken over.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you also don't have a lot of answers either, is what I'm hearing.
Nope. Yep.
What the heck? That's
And I was
crazy.
so proud of myself for getting to the
Yeah.
end, but I think it ends off with them showing you that like you look different. Like the light, like your eyes are drawn very flat and big,
Oh,
and
I'm
you can
trying to find
tell
a picture of
something
her.
is different. And
Let me pull
they
it.
like I think one of the townspeople says like, "Oh, you seem different" or something like that. So, and I was bummed because I was like, "Oh, I thought that I made it." So then when I looked up after what had happened and it
Mm.
said that I didn't do that thing like day 2, I was like, "Okay, well then there was no chance for
You're
me."
like, I'm not. I can just restart at this point. I
Yeah.
can't just go run this back at like 2 days or even a previous save. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I wonder if it's
Yeah, and I
like,
thought that it was it just was crazy that you
yeah.
could miss it so soon on and like totally mess up your whole experience because you have like 6 days left or something after that. So
Yeah, that's insane. Well, there's times where like in the wheat field, there's a version of Elise that you're running into, and she has very like flat eyes and everything. So I wonder if it's like that, where it just looks like she's being like possessed by something. I think it ends up not even being Elise in the first place, or not Elise. Rosa Marine is who I'm talking about. Um, so I wonder if it's similar to that. That's crazy.
yeah, that's kind of how you end up looking after, like a mix of those two. And there were some other features too that were definitely like, oh, this is different and I'm not me anymore.
There's like 9 endings in this game.
Yeah, which is crazy because
This is
only one of
crazy.
them is good.
There's only one good ending. Oh God. Okay, so I'm gonna be
Well, only
sad
one,
regardless.
or what do they call it? Like a true ending? Like there's only
Oh, I
one way
see. I
that you
see.
find everything out, and then
Yeah.
the rest is just it seems like different variations of what happened to me, where it's like something happens, but
Damn.
it's not helpful at
I
all.
want I want answer. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna get an ending and I'm just gonna look up lore videos and just watch all of the lore videos on the other endings that I got, which is interesting.
Yeah.
There's a whole subreddit on people arguing back and forth of whether or not Elise is a good person or not, which I think is an interesting conversation. Because
Do you have thoughts?
I think she is remotely selfish. I don't think she's a bad person because even when people have gotten hurt or involved because of her selfish acts, she still helps them. I keep going back to Abfel when Abfel got sucked into the forest and I mean, my theory with that is that was part of her reward, right? The townspeople praised her for saving him. So I don't know if like, oh, you want all this praise, but what's going to come out of it? We're going to have to hurt people, so you look like the hero. I don't know if that is like leading into that too. Regardless, she still has the intention of like, I'll go save them, and that decision doesn't feel selfish. That decision does feel like, I've experienced with the crazy shit that's happening. I can't tell them everything. I'll go and save this person, not because I want to be known as the hero, but because they're actually hurt based off of my decisions. And even though she continues to make those decisions,
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily makes her a bad person. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and I think that I would probably say immature
Yeah.
over, like,
Yeah.
evil or a bad person. I think that she's just self-centered and a little bit, like, mm, I don't wanna say ditzy, but, like, I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, where it's
Yeah.
just, like, she's daydreaming of something she wants, and I don't think she's fully thinking about everyone else, but when it's right in front of her and, like you
Yeah.
said, like, somebody needs help, she kinda snaps out of it long enough to help them. So, yeah, I don't think she's a bad person, but I do think that she's just, selfish and immature, which is not
Yeah.
the same thing as being a bad person. She can grow.
Yeah. She has, we don't know if she does, but she can. She can grow. Yeah.
Maybe
Um
she does.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's just interesting because I think immature is right, because she has this she's given an opportunity to fulfill her greatest desire, and it's a very like worldly one. I think it's very much just like fame, fortune, like all of this stuff too. And I don't think she really even thinks of what that entails. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean when you want that? You want security? Do you want people to respect you? Like, are these coming from other places in your life where those things are lacking, so you feel like you have to like compensate by having this wish granted so that everyone loves you and everything? So like, what is that true desire, and does it even need to be done by you know cooperating with evil demon snakes and crows
Yeah.
and sacrificing people and everything, that you can accomplish those things?
Yeah, it's interesting. Now that you're saying that, I'm remembering that, Freya kind of brings that up during your herd events, and I feel
Interesting.
like maybe that again, maybe I wasn't giving her like events enough credit or her storyline enough credit
Yeah.
because it's very understated, but she does sometimes have conversations with Elise where she's like, well, Elise is saying, you know, maybe we could both get out of here and have
Oh,
a
okay.
more interesting life and have a better life where we're more important. And Freya's like, well, or we could just stay here and I could just make dresses. And
Hmm.
like, what if we didn't really leave? And then I think Freya ends up thinking, like, maybe I will leave, like halfway through
Oh,
the
they're gonna run away
storyline with her.
together.
Yeah, so they kind of toy with that idea a little bit, but then Elise ends up saying like, "Are you serious?" And Freya's like, "I don't know. You know, sometimes I just talk
I
and
don't
I don't
know.
think there's really anything wrong with staying here." And I think maybe she is supposed to be getting at like maybe giving Elise that like point of view where it's like, what is wrong with being in this little town, or like
Yeah.
what's
What are you
wrong with
trying
knowing
to
these
avoid? Like, what are you
people?
running from?
Yeah, like she's kind of saying to her like there's nothing wrong with being here and having your role in this place if you're not if nothing bad is happening from
Yeah.
it. So I am curious to see what would have happened with that if I had gotten all of the hard events, but
Yeah, like it seems that Elise already, she has an attitude about the town before things are happening. Like she already has a feeling about these
yeah.
people, and there's some rightfully so, like Hans and the other old man, that are very much accusatory. And if they've done this once, they've done things like that before. But she already has kind of like a feeling about the town. Like she wants things bigger than this, but almost in a negative way, where it's like, oh, these people here are nothing, and I want to go and do all this stuff.
I think that that also ties into her being immature because I
Yeah.
think that that can be like a very teenage kind of way to look at things like, oh,
Mm,
this town sucks and I'm
yeah.
bored here, but like really nothing happened and you're
Yeah.
like you're just thinking that there's more out there, and then when
Right.
somebody does push that idea of like, why do you think that, what's out there, you're like, I don't know, but it's got to be better than here,
Yeah,
you know.
you don't actually have a reasoning or an excuse for it. You're just tired of your current experience and you want something better, but you can't think of a reason why it's bad in the first place either. So yeah, I think honestly kind of nailed all of Elise's personalities here, and I'm more curious than before, because you hearing your ending too, and I was like, I need to know, not for just me, but for both of us. We need clarity here. We need answers.
Yeah, like I wish I knew. I was interested to see, like, yeah, if you finish, you have to let me know what, especially since you had that item that I was missing.
Yeah.
I am interested to see what happens for your ending.
I got the item and I did the Max relationship with Leb. So I'm curious of what will come out of that, if anything.
Interesting that we had such different experiences.
I know, right? It's kind of crazy. It's cool for people playing if they want to play this, that it seems like you can, not only is there multiple endings, but there's lots of different ways to play it. And even if, like, I wouldn't say the romance options are in depth at all in comparison to other kind of like dating sims that I've played, right? It's not focusing on that. It does seem like it has some, substantial outcomes, at least for some of the characters. So we'll see if it actually does. Yeah. But I mean, based off of what I've played, was hooked by like the mystery and the themes and elements of this game. Other than a couple of frustrations, I think this game's great. I had a great time playing this game. I need to know more, and I want to finish it. And I'm gonna go back to my Wednesday morning save and just run through it all again. Now that I know kind of the back and forth that I have to do with this. But I think you nailed the recommendation. I think it was a great game, and more so because I feel like I'm surprised that more people haven't talked about this, just because it is one that does things different than other games in its themes and everything too, and its visual representation. I think all of that's pretty unique to Little Goody Two Shoes. So I'm surprised that more people aren't playing this. So this is definitely like an underrated gem that I think you should also check out too.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that you were happy with the rec, because I kind of thought it could go either way. Like I didn't know, but just based on our conversations, I thought you'd at least like the daytime part, but I didn't know if we were gonna hop on and you were gonna be like, dude, what was that? Like,
yeah. I mean, I did still think that it is weird, but weird good. Yeah. Weird parentheses positive. Yeah.
I thought that it might have been leaning weird bad, where you were like, I'm not going to finish it. I don't know why you did that. So,
why would you even recommend this game to me? What the heck? What were you thinking? No, it was a good time.
I was nervous.
No, it was a good time. I'm glad I played it. And I think I had that experience for most kids. I think, again, it takes a lot for me to be like, I didn't like this. And I'll more so come out of experience of being like, here's what I didn't like about it, and here's what I did like about it. Right. There's things that I didn't like about Little Goody Two Shoes, for sure. I think some of the puzzles are super obtuse. I think some of them are frustrating. The save system and introducing a skip mechanic in some cutscenes, but not in other cutscenes, is wildly confusing. And then there's really cool things like playing with this idea of dark and sinister and cute and life simmy, and the fun mini games and the characters. I love the characters and little chibi character designs too. We didn't really talk about that, but just like, I love the design of Elise and Leb and all of the townsfolk too. So yeah, there was more that I liked that I didn't like, enough so where I'm like, I have to finish this game. I have to see it to the end.
Yeah, the characters in the town just being so beautiful too. That is like huge for me, because even if there are things that I don't like, I'm like, well, it looks cute, so I'll keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does have a huge impact on me. Yeah, so that everything being so gorgeous like really hooked me. So
yeah, absolutely.
Glad you agreed.
Well, if there's nothing else that you want to talk about Little Goody Two Shoes, we can put a nice little bow on the conversation here.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, Kate, thank you so much for coming on. This was such a fun conversation. I'm so glad that not only did you recommend this game, but you also ended up liking Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and that was my goal. I was like, I hope that she enjoys this. I hope that you cry at the end. I hope you get attached to Shinx, which it seems like all of those things were true.
Yeah, this could not have gone any better. And it was so hard to keep my mouth shut the whole time that I was playing. I was like, don't say anything, don't message, like just keep it. Like, it's all right. We'll have this conversation eventually, but I was so looking forward to it. So
there's my motorcycles that are going by. So there you go. Got a little bit on both of our ends today. If you're familiar with either of our content, that's very normal for both of us to have loud cars driving.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. It's on brand. It's on brand.
I'm just glad there were no sirens on my end today. That's
true.
Special. That's a big win for me.
That happens a lot too, because there's a fire station just down the street from my house, which I also get
same for me
all the time. So, okay, well now, Kay, I want to roll out the red carpet for you again. Tell people about yourself, the streams, the podcast as well, and where they can find all of your stuff.
Thank you. I like we were saying earlier, I stream on Twitch Wednesday mornings usually, and you can find me there at MoondustCappuccino. And yeah, lots of cozy games, lots of chill vibes there, but sometimes I mentioned earlier dipping our toe into some more exciting games lately. But overall, I would say it's pretty good vibes in there. You can come in, you can talk to me about whatever you want. So hope to see some people there. And then, yeah, you can find the first episode of the Heart Event podcast and, all remaining ones on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube right now. But hopefully by the time this actually comes out, it'll be on like a couple more things. I was working on getting it on not just the main platforms, but yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, links to that will be down below. So I highly recommend you check out all of Kay's stuff. And hey, I'm most likely in the Twitch streams too. So if you want to come hang out with me and all the cool people part of Kay's community, I'll be there as well. So, and I mean, this episode I'm in Vulcan season because we got a baby coming in July. So this episode is coming out mid-May. So who knows all the podcast episodes you might have in a month from now.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Getting really close there.
It is so cool. Well, I just telling the boys earlier, but we got our stroller in the back here too.
Oh, that's what that is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Are you getting nervous?
Nervous and excited. I'm like,
yeah, good. Good. That's awesome.
I'm just waiting for my cats to I'm walking here and then be asleep in it, which is
that would be so cute.
I'm trying to get them comfortable with it because they're like big thing that's rolling around and they're like terrified of it. So they've been sniffing it. One of them decided that it'd be great to vomit underneath it. So that was great. That was fun.
No, they got no. Wrap that up right now.
Wrap it up. I don't want this.
Yeah, once the baby comes, that's the last thing you're going to want to deal with. They got to get away from that thing.
Jesus, seriously. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for getting to the end of the episode. As always, in next week's episode, we are diving into more of our new book club game. We're playing through The Drifter, which is a point-and-click adventure game, and it has been a ton of fun. And we recorded episode 2 this morning and talk about games that have crazy twists and wild things that happen. That game gets insane. So if you're excited for more of The Drifter, be sure to check that out. We also talk about very obtuse puzzles and solutions that we would never be able to solve if not for a walkthrough, which is very similar to the themes of this episode. But again, Kay, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Everybody listening, thanks for getting to the end. Thanks for supporting the show, and we'll see you next week. See you later, everybody.